You are looking live at the world's most famous race course, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, for the 15th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race presented by the Alzheimer's Association. Hello again, everyone. Happy race Saturday to you all. Welcome to my hometown. I am Gary Gonzo. Welcome to Velocity Online Racing's coverage of Round 7 of Season 15 of the Velocity Online Racing Signature Series, the IndyCar Championship, as we come to you for the biggest race of the season. Joining me in the booth, we have an all-star crew. We do have the czar of the broadcast booth, Justin Prince. Justin, I will turn it over to you just a second. We also have Jack James here. JJ, good to have you back. Welcome to Indianapolis as well. Justin, you're in the middle. This is a meat of a triple-header broadcasting sandwich for you today. Good to have you here. Indianapolis, it's unlike any other race, any other time.
That's the understatement of the day. This is the crown jewel of the season. This is the crown jewel of many when it comes to this type of racing. Speedway, Indiana is where you bring the intensity. It's where you have to be able to be precise for 200 laps, 500 miles. And when it comes to this 2.5 mile rectangular shaped oval, you better figure out the best way to get yourself to the front. These drivers have worked for a couple weeks now in preparations for this race. From the qualifying a couple weeks ago to now, to be able to see who can come away with this win here today.
JJ, you and I were in the booth for the GIC that was here about a month and a half ago, kind of kicking off the hybrid era in these cars in big broadcasted races, and we're back again. We kind of got a preview of what to expect in that race, and if it's anything like that race, we're looking at another possible photo finish, but we got 500 miles and 200 laps that might say otherwise.
That's exactly right. This is the second time that we've seen this new generation of the IndyCar with the hybrid running here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in this sort of format with the qualifiers and the race with what seems to be an all-star lineup all the way throughout the field. But ones we need to watch, definitely the pole sitter. That being O'Sullivan, fresh off a championship win in the GIC, got the pole 2 weeks ago in the qualifiers, starting from the front row. However, as we mentioned, an all-star lineup throughout the entire field. These drivers are definitely going to need to be bringing their A game today, not only in terms of their driving, but also in terms of their strategy. A little bit like what Justin touched upon a moment ago. They need to bring all sorts of their skills to the spearhead of their assault here today to make sure that they are at the front of the field for that final stint and dash to the finish.
I have actually been in this race a number of times when I've competed in the VOR series, and I was pretty well snake bit here. Season 1, I finished 14th with a DNF. Season 3, I finished 29th with a DNF. Season 4 was the only time I finished, and I finished 13th on the lead lap. And after that, I kind of retired from VOR competition. But this is not an easy race at all, Justin. And getting to the finish is just half the victory here, half the battle.
And these drivers will have to figure out the way to sort things out from their starting positions here tonight in particular. As you can see, these drivers are ready to grid, and they will be in rows of 3 today per tradition. Can you handle the start? Can you get yourself through the traffic log? Let's talk through the grid, Gary.
The 3-wide start, there are 2 times when drivers and IndyCar drivers, and these are seasoned IndyCar drivers, say they're nervous. It is when they're qualifying, they're in their 4-lap, 10-mile run for the Indy 500 and the start of the Indy 500. No other drivers, not even the seasoned drivers like Scott Dixon says that the most stressful times for him are during the qualifying and during the start of the 500 with the unique 3-wide start. Let's get today's starting lineup in, and starting from the pole is Liam O'Sullivan, your VOR IndyCar Championship points leader. He's a former winner of this race from Season 12, finished on the podium in Season 13. In real IndyCar racing history, 21 drivers have won from the pole, the most from all starting positions, but none since Simon Pagenaud in 2019, and it's happened only 5 times this century. Rick Mears did it the most. He did it 3 times. Starting second in the middle of the row is Matthias Strauss. 11 drivers have won from the middle of the front row. The last to win from the front row, the middle of the front row, real IndyCar in the Indy 500 was Juan Montoya in 2000. And on the outside of the front row is Amon Law. 14 drivers have started from the outside of the front row. The last to win, Takuma Sato in 2020. Moving on back to row number 2 is we have Roden Eftink, Brian Fiolis, and Milan Vogelzang. Vogelzang sits 6th, and that's where Alex Palou started in 2025. Going back to the next row, we have Julien Altena, Mason Mitchum, and Pim Van Gastel. Julien has 5 career podiums at this racetrack. No wins. Can he get the Indy monkey off his back like Tony Kanaan and win in his 15th start? We'll find out here in about 200 laps. Moving on back to the next row is Andreas Vince, Hunter Ingrave, and Peter Zumbody to Love. In the middle of, and then we go to row 5. We got Dan Inch, John Christensen, and Bryce Saucier. Fraser Clegg, Sebastian Dufresne, and Anthony Hatsuma. Back in row 7, Alrito Enrique, Muriani, and Clinty are defending champion and series champion of this race. Charpentier, Pressey, and Stock back in row 8. Dahlgren, a former winner here, James Watson, Katie Pollock in row 9. Lovern, Kinder, and Wags back on row 10. Gallus and Rise back on the last row. This is the 15th running. George Solders won the 15th running to the Indy 500 in 1927. 5 drivers have won from the 15th starting position. Louis Meyer, Johnny Parsons, Bobby Unser, Al Unser, Emerson Fittipaldi. Juan Montoya won his second Indy 500 15 years after the first. In 4, this is start number 15. Alex Van Desant with 4 wins, Jesper Dahlgren with 2. We have a whole bunch with 1. Who will win 15th running? Green flag in Indianapolis. We're out for 500 miles. To the north end of the racetrack, through the south end of the racetrack. Wreck in the back. We're going to go caution. Big wreck in the back. Holy mackerel. Big wreck back there.
What did I say about surviving 3 wide to start? We didn't survive 3 wide at the start. Fraser Clegg, your top rookie, makes a mistake in the opening corner. Think he went too low and bobbled as he tried to hold on. It bounced off some cars. You'll see him in the replay. It led to calamity. 4 wide for a moment. It's never good. Error causes the contact, but everything else was nowhere to go.
You could see that car on the bottom.
Very reminiscent of previous starts we've seen at the real 500. But these cars are notoriously loose, JJ, going into 1 on the start of these races, mainly because, well, we don't have all the physics and the downforce working for us, and the cars are really going to want to turn when they go into the corner. And we saw it with J.J. Yaley in 98, his Zayla Garza back in 87, and a number of other drivers getting a wreck there on the first lap, getting loose, just getting down to that apron really quickly. And then unfortunately behind him, it's just an accordion behind him, and that just collected a whole bunch of cars.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that was a little bit too aggressive there from our rookie Fraser Clegg. You could see what he was trying to do, and it could have worked in other circumstances, but the fact that it's lap 1, the green flag of 200 circuits around this Indianapolis Motor Speedway, unfortunately, he maybe misjudged that ever so slightly. The grass came up a little bit too quick for him, and as soon as he crossed over, it wasn't marked out by the normal white lines that we do have on the apron of this circuit, but as soon as he started crossing over to that flat surface of asphalt compared to the 9 degrees of banking that these drivers are going to be able to help get round these corners, unfortunately, it just caused that car to go a little bit sideways, and when all these cars are so close together, it's only going to end up one way, and unfortunately, that's the first wreck of the day, Gary.
Justin, it's going to start the strategy talk already here, as now we start talking about, we know it's going to take about 5 stops to get to the end here. Still a little early. The first real window doesn't open until a lap 20-ish or so. any value of coming to pit road at this point, or just pick up the track position that if you started in the back and you made it through this wreck, you are doing a lot better than how you started this race?
I think most of the people that started towards the back that were around that chaos there, Gary, just topped off or came down at the very least. So the answer is, I mean, get out track position, may as well try and extend that window an extra couple laps, play things out. There is a long list of drivers that have had extended repairs here. You have somebody who is right now months those repairs. Stocks 32 seconds. Hatsuma still getting repairs. Rise is still in the pit lane. Cleggs without a front wheel. Dufresne is still out with a meatball. Henrique had to take a tow because he crashed trying to get around. Mariani's still in the repairs. Watson's still out. Polak parked it and is out of the race as your first DNF, a part of that incident alone. So a lot of chaos to start, and already some apologies coming over from Clegg, who said, to confirm, he got loose, then tight, then spun. We've seen all phases on how to start a crash here.
Yeah, and that's, again, an experience factor in these cars. JJ, I don't know if you raced in any of the official 500s before. I've done one. I'm 1 for 1. I finished 4th in my one and only one, and I retired right after that. I had a shot at the podium. I was underneath the P3 on the white flag lap, but I just couldn't hold on. But one thing that I really learned from that race is that these cars are incredibly loose going into turns 1 and 2 at the start of a green flag run, regardless if you're on warm tires or cold tires. So you really have to adjust the tools in an opposite direction that you normally would put on these cars. And then while you're going down the back stretch, building up speed for the aerodynamics to really help you at full speed through turns 3 and 4 and back again through 1 and 2 on the other end of the racetrack. You really have to adjust your tools kind of in a fashion you're not used to. And again, that only comes with experience really here.
Yeah, it's something that I love so much about the iRacing service, because to many people sitting at home watching this might become across as the average computer game, a little bit like a Formula One game where, you know, you drive around a little bit like an arcade and you sort of happy days. But what most people don't realize about iRacing is it's laser scanned all the circuits, so it's exactly how it is in the real world. And the physics of these cars that they've been coded into by the guys at iRacing as we come to green here, Gary, it's incredible with the accuracy that we're able to get.
Green flag out at lap 5, and watch this field spread out. Liam O'Sullivan goes to the inside defensive, opening the door on the outside of Monlaw, going on Strauss through 1 and 2, but he can't quite pull that pass up. Strauss gets back in line. Law falls back to 3rd. F-Tink now in 4th, and Fiolis back in 5th.
Good jump here from the get-go as O'Sullivan going to bring them to the bottom. As some in the IndyCar side would say, have you heard of the term the dragon? Not just the snake, they drag themselves along like dragons to the bottom of the racetrack. You'll see a lot of moves today to cover off the bottom, where it's going to be easier to pass today. Strauss this time doesn't get covered off for the lead.
Strauss blinking a little bit there, but he seems to be secure. He's going to go for the lead, and a little bit further back, Vogelzang underneath Fiolis as they go into the short chute.
Might be something that we seem to recognize rather quickly at the front of the field. Strauss and O'Sullivan, they've had their battles throughout this season. They've had their battles throughout other championships as well. So those two are going to know each other rather well when it comes to battling on track. And I know that they are 3 wide. This is going to be interesting. 3 wide on lap 6. Have we learned nothing from the caution we had on lap 1, boys?
Oh, Clinty! Oh, and Clinty is your defending winner of this race. He also won the race in the GIC. So that was the one we were talking about, JJ, where we debuted with the hybrid. And here goes Clinty. He sees an opportunity, but he also knows, JJ, he's got to go, and he's got to go now. He can't afford to stay back there. He needs to race to the front.
Yeah, he's got to get a move on, although he's done it before, like we said in the GIC running of this race. The first race around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was broadcasted with this hybrid system. he managed to come up the best part of 17th spot, especially take the win in a fantastic photo finish that we had after a late race caution. So he's done it before, and I'm pretty sure, and I think that his biggest competitors will know for sure that he's going to definitely be on the cards to do it again. Him and that number 2, Jesper Dahlgren, you need to watch out for those guys. They're going to be coming through the field here as the race progresses.
They do have history in the real-world Indy 500 in terms of their starting spots. Clindy started 21st. One winner has come from 21st in the Indy 500 history. That was back in 1924. LL Coram won that race. He started that race. It was a very small field. Only 22 cars started that field. But he won the 1924 edition. I want to thank Justin and my wife, Debbie, for helping me dig that up right before the start of this race. And then Jesper Dahlgren, he starts 25th. He's one of 2 drivers who have won this race on multiple occasions. He is a 2-time winner here in the VOR IndyCar Championship at Indianapolis. And one driver has won the Indy 500 back for the 25th starting position. And that was Johnny Rutherford in the year of my birth, 1974, when JR was driving for Team McLaren.
A lot of different drivers have done well here, to say the very least, when it comes to the 500. Now, there is the one thing that should be worth noting here, Gary, compared to GIC, to loop back to that point, by the way. That was setup that was big for Clindy and Jesper in that race. You don't have that luxury here. It's fixed, right, remember, when it comes to today, when it comes to this 500. So for a lot of these drivers here, it's about driving to the setup and knowing what's going to be your best weight jacker settings, in particular, to find the right balance in dirty air / the aero wash, to be able to get good speed in the corner, and in turn, fly your way to the front.
Lindy around another spot. He gets around Charpentier, who is in a different colored livery. We were kind of talking about, that's actually Seb Kinder, unfortunately. Seb Kinder is in that 20th spot right there. Now here comes Clindy to the inside of Wags. And these are 2 drivers to definitely watch with a ton of experience in these cars. Wags and also Jesper Dahlgren. You talked about those 2 names, but let's throw Wags into that bunch, JJ. You can't really throw names out of a window here when you look up and down the starting lineup and you see Matt Wagner, former winner in the Elite Racing League at Motegi earlier this season. You can't really throw him out the window without including him as being one of the favorites here, just based upon his experience alone.
100%. And something that I was actually going to bring to the table in the next couple of laps was something that literally backs up that point to the highest level, Gary. So I'm talking about Jesper Dahlgren, Nicholas Cressy, Clintworth, and Matt Wagner, to that quartet of drivers that have actually pitted already. So they've got 3 laps of fuel offsets. That's 3 laps more fuel for Jesper Dahlgren, Nicholas Cressy, and Clintworth is actually on 4 laps. So he's going to be able to go a lap longer than not only those around him, but then another 4 laps ahead of the rest of the field and those who didn't pit. And you can see the last pit laps and pit stops on the timing screen on your left-hand side there. But 100%, Matt Wagner and all of these guys, they know how to win races. They've done it before. The reason why they're a little bit further back was potentially to avoid the likelihood of getting into a wreck early on in the race, or they wanted to make themselves have a little bit of a challenge in this race to see how long it would take them to get through. Because realistically, we all know that eventually they have smart brains on them. They know how to drive, and they will get through. As this is Vinci having a look to make some progress up the field.
Yeah, Pim Van Gastel gets around Amon Lal. Amon Lal started up front, and Amon is starting to fade a little bit as we get longer into this run. 13 laps out of 200, so we are about halfway through this run, Justin. And we're going to start seeing, as the fuel load burns off, these tires in these cars are going to behave a little differently.
Yeah, especially as the more they run, the harder it's going to be to hold a certain line. Van Gastel, you'll see with this past look. There it is right there with the aero wash. Lau getting a little bit tighter, might be a little bit more on the tighter side when it comes to weight jacker right now. It sets up a better run. And at this point, Lau, the best thing they can do is to let him go, because in past races, yeah, the outside could come into play a little bit with that second groove. But today, expecting drivers to quite simply have to be able to stick to that first groove if you want to be able to get the job done. You do not want to be up on that top side and risk contact with the wall at the short chutes.
Christensen around Law, and now also Mitchum around Altena. Mason Mitchum, former winner here in the Votive Indy Oval Series when they visited Indianapolis in their last season. And it's possible, JJ, we'll talk about pit strategy. It's possible that we talked about maybe a Law having problems, but Julien getting past too. Is it possible that maybe that they're just on a pace and they're sticking to it type of thing, and maybe splitting strategies between teammates? Maybe Law and Julien go on the long run, whereas they send Christensen and O'Sullivan out to be the hares and have everyone else be the hound.
I think that's a very good point to make, and I have a feeling that that's exactly what's happening, because Aman Law, we've seen him before. We know that he's not a back end of the top 10 type of guy. He can definitely run at the front when he puts his mind to it, as this is now Christensen. No, this isn't Christensen, sorry. That's Mitchum that makes the move on Law, excuse me. Similar colors there on the 3 and 44. But Christensen, yeah, so he's looking to sort of almost run his own race. You see Altena and Lau, as Altena's actually going to go to the inside, and Lau's not going to fight this one very much, as Lau then drops down to the back end of the top 10, being that in 10th place. And I think that we could see a split strategy for the Altena Autosport guys. And one thing I also wanted to point out there, Gary, was you have Rodan Eftink backing up O'Sullivan in the 3rd spot in that number 18. Eftink has definitely had a better run of form recently. He's managed to get the results back on the table. We've said previously that he's had a little bit of trouble when it comes to getting the results over the line. He's always been there, but he's never managed to really fully get the result there. But he's definitely seemed to be picking up the pace again once more, and he seems to be on a good run of form. So hopefully those two can get a good run for Altena Autosport, currently sitting in 2nd and 3rd spot.
Back to 13th and 14th, battle between teammates, and there's a whole stack up of cars now. This is all kind of piling up behind Law, as Law is kind of leading this group. And also we have lap traffic in there. There's Hatsuma, as we're going to go 3 wide, 4 wide, 3 wide at the start-finish line. Dahlgren sends it to the inside. He's not quite clear, He is clear, and he picks up a couple of positions, as Law was kind of backing the field up a little bit, Justin, there, and it got tight at the start-finish line, and they went 3 wide.
Yeah, able to get a charge with the lap traffic. Dahlgren just continuing to pick them off one by one. As he continues to try and pluck them away. Contact to the crash!
Whoa! And that's with Saucier.
Everyone misses him, but it keeps going on afterwards. Saucier doesn't get collected, so that would be good for him for some respects. He will be able to limp that back to
Matt Wagner got in it too, guys.
Wagner's in it, Zambati's in it. Oh, and it's just how they came back up on the racetrack while they're going through the corner.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do there. That happens so quickly, and that's one thing that happens a lot in iRacing. You get super glued to the car next to you, and almost you're a passenger at that point.
Well, Justin, we are cautioned at lap 19 as we watch the replays. I would imagine that we are close enough to the end of this first stint that we're going to see everyone come to pit road that hasn't stopped already. If not, everyone just come down pit road again.
We are right out of window, as you said, absolutely. Somebody saying, somebody needs to hit the brakes. That was a tough spot for reaction. Went right into the back of Wagner. Not a lot of time to react.
Again, a football field of second at top speed here, watching from Wag's point of view. He sees it happening. He's trying to slow down. And he just gets clipped from behind, really. He thought he was clear. I think, yeah, if we watch it again, he probably thought he was clear, and then all of a sudden the car just moves on him, and his race is now done.
Yeah, that is significant damage. Wagner, who we've seen contend in series like Reinhardt. I mean, when you look how fast that looks, again, the car behind, obviously, that we followed on with somebody was quite seriously probably thinking, they're going to go to the outside line and not have the checkup. But all of this is quite simple. Watch Dahlgren, corner exit, see him try to get inside. We talked about the risk of side-by-side here today. Washes up, and once you get super glue like that, Gary, there's not much you can do except go along for the ride, and in this case, the ride took the field to magical places called the wall.
JJ, you can't ask Saucier, being on the outside, to just give up the position, but discretion is the better part of valor in some cases, especially in a 500-mile race when we're only 10% through the race. Do you fight that hard for the position, or you just, at that point, survive to see another lap, survive to see the rest of the race, and let Jesper go? What would be your call if that was you on that position on the outside and you have Jesper to the inside? I know what I would do. What would you do?
It's very difficult because at the end of the day, you're all racing, aren't you? You're all fighting for the best result. But if you're looking at it from a long game point of view, I would have definitely blended the throttle a little bit, opened up the corner a little bit more, and sort of let Jesper have the inside line for the next corner. Because if you wanted to, you could always take it back on the next straight. But the problem is that Saucier just squeezed him to the low side a little bit too much. You could see in the replay there was probably almost 2 car lengths to Saucier's outside just before they actually made the super glue contact. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things where we're racing a little bit too hard 20 laps into
I agree.
a 200-lap race. I understand that we're racing, and I understand that we're trying to fight for results, but maybe you just want to reel back that aggression a little bit more and save it for the end 20, 30 laps. And well, I mean, the rest of the field won't be complaining, will they, Gary? They've just all got a free pit stop, so...
Yeah, it's right when their window. They didn't have to worry about green flagging that at all. And Justin, it kind of goes back to the point is that we're going to go green next time by. Clindy is the leader. Stock is in second. They stayed out for track position. They both stopped at lap 4 for Clindy, lap 3 for Stock. So they're going to pick up that track position. We're going to see what older tires is going to do against newer tires. But Justin... again, it just kind of shows you, much like some of these grizzled Indy 500 winners, we talk about the 15th Indy 500 here in the Velocity Online Racing League, and the winner that I'm going to talk about as an example of it doesn't matter where you are in the middle of the race, it doesn't matter where you are at lap 20, provided that you're still on the lead lap and in the race, it matters where you are at lap 200. Dan Weldon won his second Indy 500, believe it or not, 15 years ago. So we're in our 15th running. There's your symmetry right there between the numbers. But it just goes to show you that it doesn't matter where you are in this race at this point. It just matters where you are at the end, Justin.
Exactly, and it's going to be for some of these drivers critical to be able to think a big picture to make sure you set yourself up to have that chance at the end. Clendy and Stock with that fuel difference. Going to go as, here we go, everyone staggers. Can't do this here in 4.
Big send for Christensen in the inside. He thought better of it, going 3 wide on the restart. And that was most unfortunate for Jesper Dahlgren, the all-time winningest driver in Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship history. As we're going to go drag race down the backstretch, we're going to go 3 wide. Christensen's going to be the sandwich in the middle. Teammate on the outside. Mitchum on the other side. Oh, and a lull wants to come through.
We've got to move on for second place as well. You saw O'Sullivan moving past Stock, the rookie, to take second place on a new set of Firestone. So he's going to be chasing after Mr. Carl Clemworth, the defending Indianapolis champion.
Well, I think it's a bit of a different quality of driver. We have Stock that's still kind of learning these cars and learning his way through this series. And then we got Clindy, who's a former winner here in the GIC, former winner here last season here in Velocity Online Racing, won 2 top splits during fixed Indy 500 weekend as we watch F-Tink send it to the inside of Stock. And Clindy was only one of 2 drivers all last May. Of everybody that participated in the fixed Indy 500, he was one of 2 to complete all 800 laps of the 4 sessions that they held the fixed Indy 500 in, Justin.
It's very impressive to say the very least here with that situation. It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of expertise to really get a feel of this track. It may not look that way from the outside, but the more you practice and being able to run in this type of event, the more you get yourself acquainted to when the right moves are and know where that speed balance is here in all of this. As we continue on seeing how drivers fare in the early portion of this run, right now, starting to see small separations here or there. No major staggerings quite yet. As Stock doing a good job holding on, although he will have to pit soon.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll get ready to throw it to you anyways on Stock, as he's doing a good job at being predictable right now, which is a key thing for a rookie to do if he's trying to hang out at the front.
Definitely. Just while you were speaking there, Stock actually got passed by Matthias Strauss, and I wanted to point that out. That was very crucial for Matthias's race, because at that last caution, everyone pitted. So everyone you can see on screen has made a pit stop, apart from the number 1 car, Kyle Clemworth and Nigel Stock. So that's why we saw Stock dropping back a little bit more. Stock does still have fresher tyres than Clemworth, if that's going to mean anything come later on in the race. But we definitely can see the difference in experience. Clemworth still managing to hold the lead, while Stock seems to be on the back foot, now under attack from Van Gastel, Altena and Christensen.
Roden F-Tank is now around Liam O'Sullivan. He goes to second. I noticed that still on the racetrack and getting some repairs. He is 1 lap down, but Jesper Dahlgren still in the battle. He is back in the 23rd position and seems to be passing people. He's taking a peek on the inside of Dan Inch and gets the track position. Dan Inch at 18th towards the end of the lead lap, but Jesper still on the move and still out there. Maybe he has his car repaired to the point that if he gets lucky, he could do something along the lines that Jacques Villeneuve did back in 95 and get a lap back and win this race still.
It does have a lucky dog system. So Dahlgren, all he needs is a caution, Gary, and he can be back in the mix for the 2 car. There is an opportunity there for Jesper. We're going to have to keep an eye on for later on, but it all really comes down to hoping no one else has any issues and no one falls off the lead pack as things separate out over the course of this race here. We are seeing, though, some of the errors like Altena, though, still maintaining amongst this top 10. Altena, a -2 on the day so far. And obviously, we've seen the chaotic start to this race. It's got a little bit calmer for those drivers from Altena Autosport, who are your team points leaders.
A little bit of a pop quiz time, JJ. Can you tell me who the 4 four-time winners of the Indianapolis 500-mile race are?
Oh my word! I'm gonna have to scratch the old brain on this one. My knowledge of Indy 500 winners is not exactly the most impressive compared to others. But
can you give me one?
I want to say Castro Neves.
Yes.
Did he do it 3 times or 4? No, it was 4 times, wasn't it?
4 times. 4 times. Actually, I was present at all 4 of his wins, so maybe he wants me in the audience more often. But yeah, he won 4 times. Of course, the legendary, the one, the only Supertex himself, AJ Foyt, won 4 times. He's the first 4-time winner. Allenser Sr. won the race 4 times. He's the second 4-time winner. And the Rocket himself, Rocket Rick Mears, as Julien to the inside of Stock. Speaking of the Rocket, going into turns 3 and 4. And Julien now picks up another position. Rick Mears, who ironically had 15 IndyCar starts here at the Brickyard. And 4 of those were wins. 3 of them were from the pole position. That is your 4 four-time winners here at the Brickyard. It's Mears, Castro Neves, Allenser Sr., and the legendary AJ Foyt. You want back up front? Roden F-Tank starting to reel in our leader. We are on caution one more time.
Oh, and this will change a lot. This is the caution, the 2 needed. Somebody crashed in the short chute. I can confirm that. Mariani can't confirm. Lost at 24th spot. He pushed in the side into the short chute and hit the wall.
Yeah, he kind of went up to the wall and then bounced off it. It goes to the inside. A wreck we've seen a number of times in real life in the Indy 500. Jay Howard, remember that? And then, of course, Scott Dixon happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time and launched over him and walked away from that one. But that was a scary wreck. But very similar to that as he comes up and smacks the wall. Watch this once again. Mirani just lining up to turn into turns 1 and 2. Turn 1 and just getting the aero wash. Doesn't quite get down to, big push. Doesn't quite get down to that white line. And that car was not turning anymore, and he smacks the wall and ends the day, and we are under caution yet again for the third time, I think, now. And you're right. This is kind of a good deal for Clindy, who might want to take this opportunity to come to pit road.
Yeah, this is actually very huge for those who stayed out here because gets you into the normal window, per se, based on the usual distances, give or take. The question is how many people follow you down here, equalize on strategy, especially knowing some of the drivers are only 11, 12 laps into the stints here. Keep in mind, Clendy is amongst the drivers we know that are going to be fast after qualifying on an Xbox controller on the vacation. I know we talked about that at Kansas. He is not pitting? 28 laps in and he's not pitting?
No, he is going to stay out, and a whole bunch of other drivers, including pretty much all of Altena Autosport with the exception of Julien Altena. He's coming to pit road, and here we watch a wave around as Jesper Dahlgren gets back on the lead lap. And we were talking about that, Justin, and by virtue of just being the only car on the lead lap, and we have Lucky Dogs enabled here, which I'm not big on the NASCAR gimmicks, but I don't mind, at least when it comes to iRacing online races on ovals, giving a Lucky Dog out. He at least allows an extra car to stay on the lead lap and in contention. And I think it's good in this case, Justin. But Jesper Dahlgren, two-time winner here, and the all-time winningest driver in this series. He's back on pit road, and he's coming to back on the lead lap, and he's coming to pit road right now to get some work done.
I mean, has to take the opportunity to get equalized out. Is a good point to mention. I know I thought at first was, why not take the pre-pit stop? There is the alternate option. It's brought up our producer Howie Burrows and have seen, now thinking about it in the fixed Indy 500. If you pit under green flag, there is the chance of the cycles, if it gets a long green flag run, Gary, that eventually you still come out on top here. It is a play. It's a different play, but the one could make this work out here in this situation. Remember, if you brute force the green flag stops, we don't recommend brute forcing anything here on iRacing, but it sometimes works. I mean, for Clendy, if you somehow mind trick the entire field into staying green the rest of the way, you can still have a shot.
If you enjoy Velocity Online Racing's coverage of the VOR IndyCar Championship and to respect the stream, please do us a solid. Make sure you support us by subscribing. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash like and click the bell so you don't miss out on future iRacing broadcasts. Today's 15th running of the Velocity Online Racing Indianapolis 500-mile race is presented to you by the Alzheimer's Association and ALZ.org. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality care and support. But they can't end Alzheimer's without your help. To learn more, and more importantly, to donate, go to ALZ.org. Link is in the description. I want to thank them for being sponsors of today's race. JJ, an interesting part with Clindy still up at the point and still needing to come to pit road here at some point. You can pit under green flag conditions if you are far enough forward in the lead pack without losing a lap here. I think maybe that's what Clindy is banking on right now, is that if we're going to go green, we're going to stay green, and we've already reduced the field now by 6 cars. We started with 32. We're down to 26. Getting ready to go green this time by. Just staying out, continuing his run, and then just coming to pit road when his schedule opens and calls for it. He has a good shot of staying on the lead lap anyways. And if we continue to stay green because the field is smaller now, he might just pick up track position again because everyone else has to come to pit road under green flag conditions.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting strategy. I personally have not seen this strategy be played out before, and it's going to be really interesting to see if it actually works for him. I have strong hopes in Clemworth that he knows what he's doing in terms of staying out. We definitely know that this is not a mistake because Clemworth is one of the smartest drivers on this grid at the moment here this evening. So I think that is a potentially very good option for him to do because it gets him away from the hustle and bustle of the front of the field, where you see everyone sort of tripping over each other. As we now see down the back straight, we have 2 lanes almost forming. It's almost like we're at Daytona, guys. We've got they fell back into formation now as we enter turn 3. But I have since you guys been talking there through the pit cycle, I have made some notes on who has pitted and not. So once the field settles down a little bit, we can go through that once again. But it's very interesting from Clenworth, who actually now loses the lead to Matthias Strauss.
Sour the Indy 500 with the name Daytona. Come on now. Strauss goes to the point. Clindy back to second. Vogelzang in third. Violas in fourth. Julien Altena moves up to fifth. Pin Van Gastel back to sixth. Seb Kinder in seventh. Vinci in 8th, Liam O'Sullivan fades to 9th, but he's still in the picture as he's taking a peek to the inside of Vinci going into turns 3 and 4. We're watching Fiolis right now. Then we're watching that battle right now. Liam O'Sullivan by Vinci, and here comes Roden Eftink. He sees an opening. He tries to fill the hole. Doesn't quite get it, but we'll get in the slipstream and take a stab at him here at the start-finish line going into 1, Justin.
Yeah, set things up right now as we go. All this while the rest of the field playing the patience game on how they approach things. Kinder has been up and down the order. Violas has gotten a little bit argy-bargy. Talk about some of the cars as we bounce around the grid. Violas, top 5 so far, not bad at all. Kinder, great job to get up to 7th. He was in 20th in the heart of the incident early on today. This 47 has really taken advantage of strategy.
Oh.
First car we made it stick to the outside today there.
I saw that coming, and it started to get a rise out of me. JJ, I want to give a shout-out to a driver you mentioned earlier in the race. Unfortunately, he started in the top 10, but seems to be fading here after this restart as Nicholas Pressey. Pressey started 23rd today. He is currently in 11th, up 12 spots, but at the restart, he was inside the top 10 and seemed to have a handle on things, but is right now kind of getting freight trained by everybody.
Yeah, I think that's just the main reason, as he was one of I think 5 or 6 cars that actually stayed out, along with Clenworth, Strauss, Vogelzang, Violas, Gastel, Altena, and Vinci all stayed out. And when the other guys came into the pits, they were on a 12-lap-old stint. So at the moment, he is having to fight those around him with 5-lap-old tyres, while he's struggling out there with 17-lap-old Firestones, which may not seem too much on paper, but when you're putting 200+ mile an hour of load through these Firestones, you're going to definitely notice around 10 laps or so difference in wear. But I think that he's definitely he's done well in this race before. We know that he can come through a field very well, and I think that maybe he's just had a little bit more of a slower start to this race. But I think if I cast my mind back to the Platinum Endurance Indianapolis 500, Pressey actually performed probably one of his best days, I think, back then. I think that was the best part of almost a year ago now, but we definitely know that he can have a good day when he puts his head down and comes to it, and I think he's just playing the longer game like so many others, one of which being this car on screen, Kyle Clenworth.
Watching Strauss as a leader, but he continues to blink and do some drops, so we'll continue to monitor that. But Justin, we're going to have some pit stops coming up, and I think Clindy is going to take that opportunity to see if he can come to pit road under green conditions and still pop out at the tail end of the green flag. We got to watch this. This is all timing. He's got to hit pit road very hard and not get a pit road speeding penalty. Here he comes to the line and to those cones, and he gets it down in time. Now it's critical that he does everything perfect from here on out to not fall down a lap.
That is a deep position for the cone, I just noticed here for today, compared to what we've seen in the past. It's a good entry. No issues for the 1. You're going to have to be able to carry a lot of speed on entry without locking it up and spinning the car out like we've seen in California for a good example early on in the season. But everyone else still go on for a fair amount of distance. The next window, 15 laps away for a majority of those up at the front.
Clindy, if we look at just a general rule of thumb, about 30 laps under a green flag conditions, as he's going to be well in front of the leaders, as I'm kind of watching him, but we got the TV coverage of Fiolis and Vogelzang right now. He's going to come out well in front of the leaders down the backstretch. He's looking at about lap 70. Then we're talking about lap 100, lap 130, lap 160. And then we're talking about another stop with about 10 to go. So he still wants to try to get some mileage out of these runs, but being an air by himself, he's not going to have the benefit of anybody to work with in the draft. So it's going to be really tough for him to save if he's going to try to make these runs exceed past that 30 mark, which I think he needs to do over the next 3 stints or so in order to start pitting right around lap 80, lap 170, somewhere in there. That's ideally where you want to make your final stop here in a 500-mile race, JJ.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I don't quite understand what the strategy is from Kyle Clemworth, but I'm so fascinated to see how this plays out, because everything so far has pointed to the fact that he's just going to need to make another stop. So it's almost like he's banking on the fact that he can find a relatively good drafting partner, or it stays green for as long a period as possible and he can just hook on to the back of the leaders. But it's not like he has his good teammate and friend Jesper Dahlgren at the front of the field to sort of help him out, as we saw a little bit in the GIC race a few weeks ago. But I think he's gambling on the fact that we're not done for cautions yet, and we're only at lap 43, and we've already had the best part of 3 cautions. I think today everyone wants this race win a little bit more than the other, and we've definitely seen that aggression level be maybe a bit too high at the start of this race, and I think Clemworth has picked up on that a little bit and adjusted his strategy accordingly.
That you and I have done a ton of broadcasts here from the Brickyard for Indy cars and fixed setup races. And one thing that I've noticed that I don't see very often is we're watching the battle here again between Fiolis and Vogelsang. This is for second on the racetrack. But Strauss is pulling away, and you don't see this very often in fixed setup races. Normally those the first 2 positions stay with each other pretty tight, and it's that 3rd position and 4th position that tends to fall off the pace because of the dirty air. Right now, I think by virtue of Vogelsang and Fiolis kind of fighting for position in that 2nd spot, it's allowing Strauss to kind of walk off into the distance a little bit and see something that we don't see very often in these fixed setup races.
Yeah, the question to me, though, is what's the fuel burn going to be like for him compared to some of the others here? What's the fuel mapping for those in the battle pack with Vogelsang, Fiolis?
Sorry, I was watching Strauss, and he just got a little awkward on a corner exit and the short shoot there off of 1 and almost got up into the wall. And there you see he lost a 1/10 of a second. So he had a 1.3, now it's down to a 1.2. Just a little bit of a lift. You're not much of a replay here, but he got up there.
Yeah, did push up the racetrack, a little bit tight on the exit, but it's impressive to do that on your own. I'll just say that. As we see Engrave make a pass to the 19, heart of the field. Engrave, also a solid season for the 77. Looking to try and pluck away some of the spots here, mind you, with the championship, with how things have looked so far. Engrave, a couple times a pole sitter this season, 6 of the points coming in, as here's those point standings. O'Sullivan, your leader, coming in by 9 over Altena.
The big loser on that picture right there is Fraser Clegg. He is going to fall, and you cannot drop this race, guys. As we're watching now continue to pull away a little bit is Strauss. You cannot drop this race. And so Stock in the rookie standings, he's looking to gain here, JJ. And Stock had himself a pretty good GIC campaign. And he's looking to follow that up with a strong rookie campaign here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship as well, and also in the 15th running of the Indy 500, as Stock still doing reasonably well in this race in the 14th position, still on the lead lap. And car off the it's one of you guys that you shouted out early off of turn 2. It's Pressy.
Oh no, Nicholas Pressy. I was just going to point out something about the wind, Gary. We'll have a look at the replay here. This is coming into...
Whoa! Somebody, what happened? That was another car on the inside. What happened there?
That's the 85, guys, who was low on the track, seeing him slow on the back straight away. He was the one, I think, who actually got loose, nearly hitting the short chute. Watch it, turn, overcorrects.
Vinci. Wow, that is a very okay. I mean, I will let race control make a call there, JJ. That is a very questionable race rejoin, especially when you're coming back up the speed and you know you have the pack with you.
Yeah, I think the wind. I was just this perfectly backs up what I was saying about to say. Sorry, with the wind, we've got an 11 kilometer an hour westerly wind, which is a tailwind in that short shoot. A headwind into turns in the short shoot between turns number 1 and number 2. But what we saw there is just the circuit ever so slightly goes over a little bit of the car goes light, as you can see here. The field now under safety car or caution rather, coming over that sort of weird hump in the circuit, and that's relatively the same in all 4 corners, although each is slightly different. And it's just the fact that he's lost a little bit of the rear grip. That might have been courtesy to a bit too much weight jacker or something to do with the anti-roll bars. But I sort of agree with what you say there, Gary. It's not really the way you need to be re-entering the circuit. To be fair, he managed to get it back under control absolutely fine, but I don't quite know. You probably could have done a bit of a better job to keep it either on the grass or on the pit exit there. Entire field are now into pit roads. This is going to completely wipe all my strategy calculations that I have done for the third caution, which sometimes happens, but it's okay because I can always do some more.
Justin, that really reminded me of it's kind of you can run too wide here in these corners, but if you come up on somebody that's not on the same pace and you have to adjust your line, it makes that exit a little awkward, and I think that's kind of what we saw there. Kind of reminds me, going back again, we were talking about the 2011 Indy 500 where J.R. Hildebrand was leading coming off of 4 and encountered Kimball, and Kimball was just kind of off the pace, and he had to take a different line, and before he knew it, the rookie's in the wall and giving the win to Dan Weldon. Coming off of corner number 4 in the last lap of that race. And again, much the same way here. If you don't have that room on the apex, which we kind of saw there, that Vinci was kind of in that apex area, ran out of room for Pressy, and Pressy just had to adjust, and it just runs out of room and smacks the wall.
Yeah, now at this point, seen plenty of attrition. Vogel saying, good out of pit road, I will say. With the 8.8 second stop, we'll see if he's going to be able to push his way past Stock and Klendy once we get back going here, who stayed out as we expected here with their strategy offsets. Yeah. At this point, again, it's a strategy roulette when it comes to these types of races sometimes, when it comes to the Indy 500, to pick the right strategy. And with the attrition high, we're only at the quarter distance mark so far, and we've seen so much attrition. We're down to 23 cars running already. 10 out.
Is this our 4th or 5th car? Let's say it's. I think it's by my count. At least 4, and that's kind of odd inside of 50 laps, and that's just going to really thin this field out, as you mentioned, Justin. And it should reduce cautions as we get longer into this race because, well, there's less cars. Okay, 4 is the count. So. Make sure I make note of that. And it's going to thin the field out. So as we get later into the run here and later into this race, it's actually going to put less cars in direct contact with one another. So we might be looking at longer green flag runs. So this might be playing into Stock and Klendy's hands by being on this alternate strategy.
It could potentially go in their way in massive extent. As looking at the timing sheets at the moment, Nigel Stock, who leads the field under caution, he's on 18 lap old tyres, so that's 18 laps of fuel less in the car than everyone else. So he's obviously going to have to pit. I mean, not potentially, it's going to have to happen, isn't it? He's going to have to come into the pits a lot earlier than the rest of the field around him, who have not done a single racing lap on this stint and this tank of fuel. The only drivers to stay out are Stock and Glenworth, and I think that they are on a very similar strategy. Between them, they have about 8 laps of offset, with Glenworth having the better tank of fuel as we now go back to green.
Oh, Vogelzang gets a big run on Klendy. Klendy trying to do a bit of a fade. And Vogelzang's going to go from third to the battle to the lead of the short chute going into 2.
Well, what did I say? How quick are we going to get past those on the strategy? He made it near immediate, but it's going to be not done yet because the way the draft works. Back and forth now, likely with Stock, unless you have Clendy force it.
Clendy keeps it to the bottom, but Stock now to the point. Vogelzang in second. Clendy fades to third. And now watch this battle between two guys that started on the front row. It's Strauss and it's Liam O'Sullivan in fourth and fifth. They're battling down the front stretch. Now into the picture, we have Julien up to sixth, FT seventh, Alal in eighth. And now battle back up at the front, Milan to the point. And Milan looking for another win in Indiana. Of course, Milan is a town in southern Indiana that basically is based upon what the movie Hoosiers came out with, the championship basketball team. So Milan has won in Indiana before, and maybe we see another Milan win today here at the Brickyard.
Yeah, but it's still early on. We're only at the quarter distance here, too, but the way things have shaped up so far, all this is going to be down to how well you swap draft in terms of settling in on the short run before the tires start to wear away and we see things calm down. How well are you going to be able to take adventure runs? Oh, Sullivan with a huge one.
I think really drivers are getting a heck of a run coming down the main street and just activating that. I'll turn it over to you, JJ, but I think the drivers are getting a heck of a run and they're just using that hybrid. And we're seeing places that normally we don't expect to see runs, getting runs, and I think it is because of the hybrid. Here we go, 3 wide again.
You're going to see Clendy go up the inside, take the place back off O'Sullivan. I completely agree with you there, Gary. We saw a little bit with the GIC race, drivers trying to figure out how to get the hybrid to be used properly as the new version of this IndyCar came out on the day of the race, more or less. So these drivers have now had a lot of time to prepare, not only qualifying, but for the race in the best place to dump all of that hybrid to get the better runs. And it seems now that we are seeing all sorts of different runs and a lot of different strategies of how to deploy that hybrid to come into play now, especially off the first safety car restart there a couple of laps ago. We saw a huge Hunger Games type restart, everyone going for all sorts of lines. I saw one car almost doing the Ross Chastain wall ride around the outside of turn number 1, simply because there's not enough clean air to go around. And that's something that we need to be careful of, not necessarily us up in the commentary booth, as we see that Dragon Snake once again being led by Julien Altena, trying to get a little bit of draft away from the front end of Matthias Strauss. Probably and most likely thing, a little bit intimidated by that number 28 that's currently sat in 6th position. He's been a front runner all day today so far and looks very strong out on circuit at the moment.
May the odds forever be in your favor. And I got to wonder, we're looking at this battle here at the point, and just behind is Liam O'Sullivan, who is on a different strategy. Justin, how hard? I mean, if the odds aren't in your favor, we think the odds are favoring right now Stock and Clendy. I could be wrong, and you could correct me if we are. But how hard do you push if you're Liam? Maybe you could just say, go ride back there, save fuel, and make the odds better for you by making your run longer, knowing the two guys in front of you eventually have to stop.
I think at this point, right now it's still the thought process of maybe adjust with the fuel mapping, burn a little less fuel, plan things out for the long term a little bit more here. I think there isn't too much panic if you're O'Sullivan or Vogelzang. You've got the track position. Your hope is you just maintain it the rest of the way here with the way things cycle up, because as we've seen here today so far, or you've just seen, first of all, people pushing tight. 2, it's hard to get you ready for the back and the front.
And I just was looking at the background there, and I think that was Hunter Ingrave that got a little squirrely off of 4 and made things exciting back there. And he has his teammate right in the neighborhood with him, and Jesper Dahlgren. There we got that battle right there. Dahlgren, I don't know how much damage he picked up from that incident, but Dahlgren is up to 15th now, up 10 spots better than where he started. But remember, JJ, at one point, he was sideways in the North Short Chute, almost getting ready to smack the wall.
Talk about sideways moment. That was an incredible ninja hand save from Hunter Ingrave. We're just looking at the replay there. That was a very, very good save. Almost fishtail and tagged the wall on the outside, but kept the momentum going. And it's something that I think we need to keep an eye on as these guys progress through the stint. With the best part of, I'd say we have maybe 5 laps before we see or expect to see Nigel Stock from the lead of the race coming into pit road. But because those two at the front are on a different strategy and they're naturally going to be slower with older tyres, it sort of caused this effect of sort of a cork in the bottle. We can't really see anyone breaking away from each other, although the only break I can really see is after Van Gastel, and that is down in 11th place. So we have the top 11, so to say, all really with a really good chance of getting a really good run to the end of this race, as Vogelzang in front of Altena, really big check up there.
And they're not really looking like that they're off the pace and trying to save fuel in a purposeful manner. Stock last lap 2:13, Clindy 2:13, O'Sullivan a 2:14, Vogelzang a 2:14. So I don't think that these guys necessarily are, they're back there saving, and by saving in the draft, but they're definitely not off the throttle. They might be down on the engine mapping as Sullivan goes to the inside of Clindy. Clindy does a bit of a fade, and he goes to the point, and it got tight back there, Justin.
Little bit chaotic once again with the moves. This is what you expect to see early on in some of these runs here, and these drivers are not afraid to take advantage of swap draft, more swap draft in some of these circumstances. Net lead coming up here for the pit strap for those who are equalized on 7 laps or so. No look that time, but here's the look of the replay.
Yeah, watch as he gets the run, but watch Clindy with the run, and JJ, it's just so quickly, Netcode could have taken over there, and just quick hands and good code.
Yeah, no, this was a very, very smart defense from Clemworth, because he obviously saw O'Sullivan going for the move, so he goes, okay, well, you clearly want to get a move on, so I'm going to get a move on as well. And by doing this, he actually takes the clean air. You'll see this from O'Sullivan's onboard. He'll take the clean air away from the number 12 car, and he actually almost loses a place, not only to Stock, but he becomes under fire from Vogelzang as well, down into turn number 3. Look how much he had to check up there. You can see Stock actually coming back past him, and he's managed to keep the place in front of Vogelzang. But now look who's joined the party for this battle in the top 4. Julien Altena is on the back and rear wing of Vogelzang, as we actually see now O'Sullivan retake the move and go back past Stock into turn number 3.
Vogelzang, there's that battle there. I was watching that whole battle from the car point of view of Liam O'Sullivan as you went to the in-car, the producer did on that one. And you could almost see, I remember back watching Altena to the inside of Vogelzang as he tries, and we're going to get a repeat of Jesper Dahlgren's situation there. Nope. Vogelzang's going to stay high, Julien down low. But I'm reminded of the line that Qui-Gon Jinn asked Skywalker's mother, Anakin Skywalker's mother. He sees things before they happen, right? And I'm wondering if maybe Liam saw the run that Clindy was getting on Stock, and just maybe at that little bit cracked the throttle, and knowing that probably there was just enough room there, or maybe enough space, that enough question there that maybe Clindy would take the shot to the inside. And again, I think there was all 3 drivers kind of working together and using instinct there to make that work out. Otherwise, it could have been a lot more disastrous going into turn 1, right for all the leaders.
It really could have. I think right now, for many of these drivers, it's just for now. Get situated, talk things over with the teammates, be able to plot and plan, because this is the part of the race where you try and make this to where it's our team, the best team, that gets to the front. Let's all get to the front together. With 5 laps to go, that's where the team becomes the me, in theory, because you want to win this race. As a driver to win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it really depends on the situations, and at this point, if you're up thinking the book-we-do machine, you look to try and make sure you have your books studied up and you know the notes on how this race can go.
Looking at the driver now in third, and he has the IndyCar monkey on his back. He's been here 15 times, raced in every single Velocity Online Racing Indy 500. And I've had bad luck here. And he has not necessarily had bad luck. I've had like Andretti level luck for not even winning. He's had more Scott Dixon luck, where he's been so close on a number of occasions. 5 podiums, I said. A best finish of second in season 12. Just missed the win by 9/10 of a second over his teammate, Liam O'Sullivan. Julien very much would like a Tony Kanaan style win here at the Brickyard to get the monkey off his back and to add, he's done everything else in this league. He's been an admin, he's been a former champion, he's one of the leaders in wins all time here in this league. He's done everything but win this race, JJ. This is a big checkbox to get off for his resume, for his career here in the series that he helps run. That a win here at Indianapolis would be a very big win here for the Dutchman, a place where the Dutchman has done well here. Arie Luyendyk has won here twice.
He would so much love to win this race here tonight, don't get me wrong. I think, whoa, that's very close. But yeah, he definitely would love the win here tonight, especially after the luck that he's had earlier in the week for the last round of the GIC. He was contending for the championship there, was leading the race from lap 1, doing everything absolutely perfectly, and the race just unraveled right in front of his eyes in the last 10 laps of that one. And I spoke to him during the week in the lead up to this race, and he did seem extremely disappointed in the fact that he didn't manage to get the results, at least the race win, for that final round of the GIC, as we see Jesper Dahlgren going up the inside of Mitchum, making more progress after his lap, for his caution antics rather, and actually being a lap down, and lap 67 finds himself climbing the field once
coming
again.
To pit road, scheduled stop
13.
for Nige.
Yes, that was one thing I wanted to mention actually, Gary. He was really dropping like a stone in the last 5 laps. 35 lap stint he managed to get out of that. So other drivers and other competitors and other teams will be looking at this thinking, okay, 35 is a possibility here.
That should put him just after the halfway point. Final stop at lap 173 if we go caution all the way out. He's only looking at 3 more stops after this. So, again, the strategy to stay out might be the call for him, as he is now working his way off the pit road and the leader's coming down the main straight.
Yeah, this choo-choo train effect is really getting to where it's right back to the wheelhouse of what I talked about. Early on was the best opportunity, I think, especially after the first caution flag, to really find your way up the front here. Look at this pit cycle, though, for what Stock just did, though, in his circumstance. He's cycled to where he's a lap down. Clendy's been passed as well, as we looked at Stock's car.
But Stock's just right behind the leaders. So if he just gets in line, saves fuel, and we wait 10-ish laps or so from now, this whole group, with the exception of Clendy, we expect Clendy to come to pit road about any time now. He's right in that 30-lap neighborhood. But another 10 laps from now or so, this whole entire group is going to come to pit road. Maybe if Stock can pick off a position or two with better tires and save some fuel, he'll pick back up the lap. Oh, Vogelzang almost into the wall off of 4 as we are doing the dragon and the snake down the backstretch, and we're watching this pass for the lead as O'Sullivan goes to the inside of Clendy, gets the lead. But I think if Stock just hangs around, and Vogelzang, I think, did smack the wall. Oh, I don't know there. That was
Very
close.
Yeah, might have avoided it there. What was turn 1 like, though? Because right about here at this distance, some drivers really struggled. Yeah, looks tight. Lifting. Just missed it. Apparently,
that was
that was a 2X.
Really? Okay, a 2X. That's one of the things with these Indy cars. You can tap the wall and you can still get a 0X, which means that theoretically your car has no damage and you can carry on. But for some reason, I've noticed in my experience with these Indy cars anyway, even if you sometimes get one of those 1X incident points, it gives you damage that the simulator doesn't recognize, and you can't then repair that, and you have to carry that tiny little bit of damage throughout the rest of the race, not only the rest of the stint.
looking in chat. Is that Bruno Miranda, the Brazilian Storm, checking in? Former series champion, Bruno Miranda, 2-time series champion. Good to have you here, Bruno. Jesper Dahlgren goes 3 wide. He splits the slower car there and gets another position, and it goes 2 for 1. 1 for track position, 1 for actually a position on the grid, and now move Jesper inside the top 10 as his teammate Clindy coming to pit road right in the scheduled window I expected him to. He has gone 32 on this stint.
Not bad. I think he's made the box. That was a little bit of a trouble. Yeah, but still gets himself in the lollipop, man. 9.4 seconds. I believe he's going to maintain the lead lap here based on the distance. Not like stock with his distance around the racetrack. But as they go here, keep in mind, it's like the last stint. Last time we're talking about, oh, a driver broke away. We got a caution flag. O'Sullivan's hoping, oh, a driver broke away. There's not going to be a caution on that discussion point because he's ran away by almost 2 seconds, guys.
Yeah, he is extended. He's out. Actually, he's pulled away from Julien, so the draft window does not extend to Julien. The draft window is a 1.5 seconds. We're 1.6 back to Julien, so Julien has no benefit other than his hybrid to try to pull himself closer to O'Sullivan. Sullivan is now pulling a 1.7. F-Tink on pit road right now.
Yeah, that's a little bit unexpected, I thought, from Roland F-Tink. I thought he would leave it a little bit longer to come into the pits, but he only made 25 laps on that stint, and it's something that he might be playing the ultra long game and looking towards the region of lap 175, almost 100 laps, well, exactly near enough 100 laps from now, trying to work backwards from there. That's at least what I would be doing. I'm not exactly as experienced as all of these guys out on track tonight, but if I was sort of trying to work out the best way to get to the end of the race, I would be working from the finish backwards that way. And potentially he's getting rid of what he might have calculated to be a split fuel tank situation where you take half now and half later on, or you sort of take the splash and dash, so to say, in that stint that he just completed, doing the 25 laps, and now maybe he gets a nice round number to round off this race without a splash and dash.
It's a better gamble now too. Also with more than half the race left, that if he tries to do this within the last 10 laps or so, he might not get that caution that can help him out. Whereas it's more likely to get a caution with the number of laps we have remaining in this race to help him out again. So that's not a bad move at this point. Try something different and splitting strategies with the team now, and might as well. I mean, it is Indianapolis is definitely worth the gamble. It's also worth shouting out Bruno Miranda finished 3rd place here back in season 8. That was during the dark season where we could not broadcast any races. He finished 3rd place here behind Jesper Dahlgren and good old Tommy G, former winner here. Tommy G won in season 7. Thomas Geisler, and Jesper Dahlgren got his first win in season 8, beating out Tommy G by 47 thousandths of a second. One of the closest finishes we ever had here. Bruno Miranda finished 3rd, back a 1/10 of a second behind that. A great finish, but F-Tink now reeling in a little bit, just kind of hanging out and keeping within the draft window of Liam, and Liam's going to let him on by.
I mean,
10 miles an hour difference. This is a draft swap train. This is a perfect play. This might actually work out perfectly for O'Sullivan here, because now he's got a drafting partner that can help him if it works out the way it potentially could to pull away. Now, I was about to say, there is the downside. F-Tink's just running away. Obviously, with the fuel mapping, O'Sullivan, I think, is trying to save a little bit here and turn down the wick.
Yeah, I'm looking at last lap speeds, and O'Sullivan at 2:14, and I'm trying to see F-Tink at 2:16. So F-Tink, not hanging around in the neighborhood at all, JJ.
Yeah, he's not hanging about 100%. He's definitely getting on with it, and he's definitely getting the hammer down, because he, at the end of the day, it would be nice to help out your teammate, but he's running his own race, and he's very much still in this race and in contention for it. And with 30 laps on O'Sullivan's tyres, that's going to be the same for Altena Vogelsang, Lal, and you name it, pretty much everyone down to Gary Lovin down in 16th. So they're all going to be in the pits in the next 5 laps or so. So that's going to be a whole new set of fresh tyres. So I think that's why F-Tink really wanted to get the hammer down and try and make some progress while the sun shines in his court, because he has those fresher tyres while everyone else is still struggling towards the end of a stint.
Yeah, I tell you what, O'Sullivan's not getting any benefit of any fuel saving other than the fact that he might just be tuning it down a little bit. Again, F-Tink pulling away last lap by. I'll give you an update for him. O'Sullivan was a 2:14 on his last lap, being very consistent laps. But I'll have to give you an update on F-Tink when I see his last lap speed. But he continues to pull away. He is now 1.1 ahead of our leader and continues to inch ahead.
Yeah, right now, at this point, the Altena machines are proving why they've been the most consistent all season long for the team standings, all throughout the campaign. Seen at least one driver get themselves inside the top 5. We have seen, throughout the season, only one multiple race winner in Ingrave, we'll say. But the thing is, consistency wins championships. Ingrave, the only times he's won, or rather, the times he's won are the only times he finished inside the top 5. The Altena machines, like O'Sullivan, like Altena, at least have been top 5 contenders week in, week out. This is a championship, especially, and this is a race you have to score well in if you want to win.
Pit road.
Here's O'Sullivan.
And black flag for Hatsuma. Not sure what he must be at the incident limit. So he's coming to pit road right. Nope. He is slower on the pace racetrack. Someone else is coming to pit road. Not sure who that is. Chris Rice coming to pit road.
Got well down the order. And not sure where the black flag for Hatsuma we're hearing is coming from, because he had a 4X. Curious if it goes the way I think it is. I think he came out of
Julien.
pit road and had a penalty.
Pit road. Julien pit road. Vogelsang pit road. We got Strauss coming to pit road. All the leaders, with the exception of Lal. Lal's going long. Jesper Dahlgren going long. That is big news. And then also we talked about the guy that now needs to get his lap back by just staying out, and that is Nigel Stock, as he's going to see those leaders right in front of him, and he'll get his lap back when those two right in front of him come to the pit road.
Now, there is an important note here we haven't touched upon too much today. We know in some cases drivers will blend across that white line in 1 and 2 to gain a little bit of ground going full throttle. There is a special exception to this layout version of Indy we are using today. You can't cross it, guys, and that's where that one penalty we're confused about the black flag from came from. Do not cross the white line today.
Law on pit road. Jesper Dahlgren on pit road. Hunter Ingrave with an aggressive pass on the main straight. The leader now is Mason Mitchum, our winner at Kansas, who is now the leader right now. And we should not rule out Mason Mitchum at all. We should not also rule out Hunter Ingrave. We watched both these drivers in the past do some massive fuel saves and to work their way up in the order. And they seem to be doing it again, at least on this long run. Mason Mitchum 35 laps, Hunter Ingrave 35 laps. But watch this, Hunter getting a big run as Mason gets to slight of slower traffic. And that's Hatsuma. He goes to the inside, I think trying to get out of the way. But unfortunately, Hunter had a big run and had to take evasive maneuvers and goes to the inside on the pit straight and gets it done before going into 1. But Mason Mitchum, your winner at Kansas from a cup from last week, actually, is now the leader.
Look at this, though. O'Sullivan on the net strategy is looking better. Clendy did not cycle ahead of O'Sullivan in all this with how things went at the end of the run. Clendy not in the window to get the win. He'd still be top 3 if it was to run out likely, but O'Sullivan's just that much quicker right now.
I wanted to say, yeah, 100. I completely see that where he's come out with such a big advantage. But one thing I wanted to point out as well there, Justin, Liam had a pit stop time, that's actual time stopped in the box, of 9.75 seconds. So let's round that up to 10 seconds. Clemworth's time stopped in the box was 9.2. So O'Sullivan could have been taking a little bit more fuel than Clemworth, but still he's managed to get that gap of 2 seconds. So that is really, really crucial for the fight for the net lead come the end of this race.
Good point. Mason Bitcham completes his stop. He now rolls on the access road. Here's Engrave coming to pit road. So he went very deep, 37 laps. I'll do the math real quick while we watch this battle for third between Altena and Clenworth.
Yeah, that kind of showcases just how the differences are on the short term. So the tires right now, 41.6 for Clendy. At this point, Clendy's just running away. Engrave just completed his service, by the way, so I think this cycle is complete. Engrave went 38 laps, though, guys.
And if he can save a little bit more fuel over the course of the next couple of stops, he's only looking at, Justin, I don't know if you're timing this up right, too, and doing the same math I'm doing. I think he's only looking at 2 more stops after this, and he's done.
The Fuel Wizard looking to be a maybe upset pick here for Rogue Racing, I guess you could say. It would work out perfectly. It just has to be green the rest of the way. But
it does.
We know the 77 likes to pull this strategy.
And we have seen, I have actually called a caution-free 500-mile race before. So I have seen an entire 500-mile race here in IndyCar go caution-free. So it would not be unheard of from our last caution, which was right around 50 or so, give or take, to go do the last 150 caution-free. That would not be unheard of in iRacing. Not unheard of.
I will say, all this Rise has been quietly doing okay this run. Give him credit. Was one of the drivers who didn't qualify well for this race here, Gary. Up 15 spots. Right now, he's still in the positive after starting 32nd. I don't think he's got winning race today in the 0-1 machine. But he is in a case where he will finish with a decent day.
No driver has ever won the Indy 500 starting 32nd. The furthest back anyone has started the Indy 500 and won is 28th, and that's where Jaco Steiger started today. And unfortunately, his day was over. I think he's still out there. No, I don't know where he is. Maybe he didn't make the starting lineup and actually had to had an alternate. But at least the provisional lineup that was handed to me, he had him starting 28th. But 2 drivers have won from 28th starting position, and that's the farthest back for anyone. Ray Haroon, who won the very first Indy 500 in 1911, and Louis Meyer in 1934. Now, the significant thing about Louis Meyer's win, as we're watching Clitty right now, remember when you win the Indy 500, that's where you drink the milk? Well, that's where the tradition of drinking the milk actually started. So the easiest way to think about when the tradition started, it's worst start, best drink. If you talk to anybody from the Indy 500 or any IndyCar fan, best start, worst start, best drink. Louis Meyer starting 28th, and that's where that tradition started. 2 drivers have finished second, starting from 33rd position. Tom Sneva did it in 1980, only after Pancho Carter was penalized 1 lap for passing the pace car earlier in that race. And Scott Goodyear is the only driver to race to second place after starting 33rd. And that was in 92 in a thrilling late race duel with Al Unser Jr. that is still recognized as the closest finish in Indy 500 history, 43 thousandths of a second. New driver has ever won from 29th on back. So some of those guys that we talked about that started from more than 28th, they have a long road to hoe in front of them, but stranger things have happened. Maybe we see it happen today here with 91 laps complete here from the Brickyard for the 15th running of the Velocity Online Racing Indy 500 presented by the Alzheimer's Association. If you are just joining us, thank you for tuning in with us here on this Saturday. This is coverage of Season 15 of the VOR IndyCar Championship, coming to you from Indianapolis. We've completed now a 92 lap. We're just shy of the halfway point. Make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. The next race for us here on the channel will be tomorrow for round 10 of season 29 of the International IndyCar League as the series heads back to Monza for the 7th time in series history. Coverage starts bright and early at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time Sunday morning. That's a.m. I wish it was p.m. That's too early for me, JJ. I think you'll be on the call, so my hat's off to you. But it's all right here on the Velocity Online Racing channel this weekend. And also to announce that Velocity Online Racing will also be covering the Indy Next Series basic. Oh, car in the wall, stock into the inside wall, coming off the corner. This is going into 2, and I don't know if we're going to go under caution, but he followed the car in front of him up into the wall, and it was like synchronized smacks, and there's the caution.
Yep.
You got to watch that replay again.
I was about to say, he was trying to stop out of the way, but the problem is he needed to be in the grass because that road course is still the racing surface to iRacing. Huge shunt to the inside wall, and there goes one of the alternate strategy cars.
And I think he was just kind of following Rice. So Rice passes him. He gets the dirty air. He doesn't quite get to the bottom at all. And I think he follows Rice up the racetrack, kind of hypnotized a little bit with dirty air and into the wall. And day done for one of the guys that was kind of on the different strategy.
That just is a perfect example of how focused you have to be for the entirety of this 500-mile race. It may look a little bit less exciting when the cars aren't going side by side, like they will be in about 5 minutes time once we get this restart up and running. But even then, when you're following someone, even the best part of 5 car lengths back, you have such difference in grip when you're following in those wheel tracks compared to when you're not and you're running a little bit higher. The only reason for that is the amount of airflow that you're getting over your front and rear wings. Looking at the cars, they may look a little bit like a gimmick. They may look like they don't do too much, but trust me, when you're going at the speeds that these cars are traveling at, once they get the momentum up and running, it is you see Aman Lal there trying to sell a couple of people the dummy. And Van Gastel actually was doing the same thing as well as Christensen. So they're all staying.
Go back to the front straight. Watch Julien. I think he no, that was Liam. I think he might have smacked either Julien or Liam smacked the wall coming down the front straight. I don't know what happened.
Altena did say something. He said, he said he was eating? He just hit the wall eating. Oh my goodness. Why would you eat with this car?
That's one of the perks of racing on a simulator, Justin. But 100%, I mean, I would definitely keep both hands on the wheel at all times, kind of thing. A little bit like a roller coaster, but maybe his turkey sandwich was looking a little bit too enticing lap 95.
That was right in the neighborhood of what happened to Scott McLaughlin at the start of this year's Indy 500. You don't want to be that guy, especially under caution. And a little bit of now, if this is real IndyCar racing, more than likely he would have just rubbed off the Firestone logo on the side of his tires. I don't think there was a lot of damage, but it definitely caught my attention as he was just kind of going down the front stretch, and then all of a sudden, the last thing you kind of expect is everybody in line under caution, and he just kind of fades up into the wall.
Yep. I think he can get away with it. My concern is if it had side pod damage. I don't think it would have damaged him that slow of a pace. Now, if he did what I did at one point, and when I had something in my on a VR headset, took it off, and then turned a hard right at Phoenix into directly to the wall, that'd be a different thing.
I drive in VR too, and when I did my one and only fixed Indy 500, like I said, I qualified 5th, started from the pits because I didn't trust the starting lineup. So I started from the pits, and then immediately there was a wreck in turn 1. So I made the right decision there. I finished 4th, and at one point during that race, she never does this, our cat jumps up on my lap. And all I feel is cat and claws and everything on my lap in the middle of that race. not expecting it because I'm in VR. So that's a shock moment right there. And luckily she scrambled when I kind of pushed her away and everything. But yeah, anything can happen when you race at home, and this kind of proves. I've had a cat jump on my lap. You went to go scratch your eye or itch your eye in VR, and Julien reaching for a chicken nugget or something.
Well, again, he's still on the track, so that's the bright side. But we're almost at halfway, everybody. So there is that situation here today, as quite simply, we're a few laps out from a simple couple stopper here in theory, unless you pull the fuel game of the 77. This could get interesting if you're able to pull an extra 5 laps of stint.
Pace car is off. Remember, when we go green flag here, immediately they can start spreading out and passing people. It doesn't matter if we're past the start-finish line or not. Penalties will be cleared, and watch him in the back spread out. Watch him in the mid-pack spread out, and the top 4 kind of separate themselves from Christensen. As side by side now, Vogelzang and Lahl. Lahl getting a big run on the high side. Vogelzang's going to fight back on the inside. Lahl should be able to pull off this pass and have the benefit of his teammates in front of him to use the draft and pull him on by Vogelzang. Here comes Christensen, is looking for a way through. Vogelzang to the inside once more on Lahl to get that spot back. Julien now to the lead, giving the dirty air to Vogelzang, all the while keeping clear of Liam O'Sullivan. Sullivan now goes back to second, and the guy that smacked the wall while reaching for a condiment is now your leader.
Watch out, boys. You don't want to hit each other. These are all, apart from Vogelzang, these guys are all teammates. So no doubt there's going to be some words exchanged in a voice call somewhere that we don't quite have access to. Boys, please be careful. We aren't even halfway yet. And it feels like we've already had so much action here this evening. Armand Lahl struggling to get past Vogelzang. He's going to be a little bit frustrated after having to drop down for a potential, what we think was a fuel-saving race quite early on. He's found himself back up to 4th place with, he didn't actually stop on that caution, so he's on 14 lap tires. And we need to be careful of the likes of Kyle Klemworth, Jesper Dahlgren, and Matthias Strauss. That's the 3 leaders of the stopping cars in that last caution. So you need to be careful of those guys coming back through.
Yes.
And I think that when you have all 4 cars rather, grouped together here at the front of the field, this could be a very interesting fight later on.
There is a lot of experience between those drivers, Klindy, Dahlgren, and Strauss. And of course, Klindy, former series champion and a former winner here. And Jesper Dahlgren, a 2-time series champion and former winner here. And the all-time winningest driver in the series, and was in trouble earlier today. And it's amazing, Justin, that car doesn't have any more damage from the condition we saw it in that incident earlier in the race between turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, so far, for the most part, I think it's been okay in that part of the track now over the course of the run. But still, as we come up to halfway here, it's going to be so much curiosity for some of these drivers that are committing to the 3-stop compared to those who are going to be trying to hope that there's an error caution flag to be able to make the strategy simplified here. There's a lot of math involved, and at this point, you have to think drivers that came down pit road there going to be in an interesting spot, as we said, like Klendy, like Dahlgren. Again, I'm not counting on Ingray because of his fuel save abilities. A lot of those that are going to be 7th on back, you better get that magic fuel saving tree and figure out a way to save without losing enough net time for it to be mute to the drivers that are going to be coming in about 20 laps.
Sullivan leads by 4/10. So we're Julien Altena Vogelzang now in 4th, in 5th. Pretty good day for Altena Autosports, blanketing and bracketing the top 5 at the moment. Vinci, he's in 6th. Let's shout that guy out. At one point, he was off the pace and spinning towards the inside wall on the south end of the racetrack, and now all of a sudden, he's up in the top 10. He's in 6th. Klindy 7th. Dahlgren 8th. Pim Van Gastel 9th. And Strauss in 10th. But Vinci, Justin, a great recovery drive from a guy that earlier in the race looked like he made I don't want to say a bonehead move, but just he was just trying to regain his car back on the racetrack. and the leaders were in the neighborhood and took out one of the guys that was having a good day at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And for a lot of the drivers, you just hope you stay out of the trouble whenever anybody makes a mistake. A little bit passing there, by the way. Strauss getting up more to the ground as a result here in this sequence. I think Strauss is one of those cars that has race-winning pace to loop back into his conversation point in the 28 machine, because right now he has been fast. We've seen him be able to slice and dice. The problem has been since the early going with the way the cautions have played and with the incidents have played, has just not been able to get himself up to the point once again after that rapid start where he was able to utilize swap draft in the early first 30 laps.
Oh, wow. So we're hearing from pit road, Stock had wheel damage since early in the race, and he was managing to hang out up front for a very long time with wheel damage. So that says something about his ability in pace. Watching out over the rear wing that does not move on these Indy cars. There is no button to push like you see in Formula One, JJ. We could talk about no DRS here, but you do see a small wicker in the middle of that rear wing, so there is some downforce being applied to these cars with that small gurney flap there. And you see that little black line just above where it says online on the wing there. That's a little gurney flap, and that's what's supplying the rear downforce for these cars for the most part.
It's incredible, isn't it? It's a tiny little flap, almost invisible to see from our camera angles here, but just that tiny little flap is providing all the downforce that these cars need to fly around these circuits and around these corners, especially at around the 200-mile-an-hour mark. It's absolutely incredible, but something that we won't see so much compared to when the Global IndyCar Challenge raced here for their Indy 500. Every single car here in the VOR series will have that gurney flap, as we said, because it is a fixed setup compared to the Global IndyCar Challenge, where it's an open setup. So some cars will have it, some cars won't, and that is big on driver preference. Now, one thing that I do want to actually point out, just while we are on the topic of a little calmer period in this running, as we have 96 laps to go, with the likes of Jesper Dahlgren and Kyle Clemworth. So they last pitted on lap number 95 under the last caution, which was our 5th caution, believe it or not, even before the halfway mark. So if they can manage to eke out 35 laps on their next 2 stints, they're going to make it bang on to 200 laps. So they can, if this runs green to the end, let's say it does, they only need to run 35 lap stints systematically, make 2 pit stops, they make it to the end. Bosch, hopefully that's the fastest way and job would be done for them. So they're in a very, very good position for the end of this race, but I'm not sure about the rest of the field.
You know, 165 would be the last stop for those guys if that's how the math works out. Watching Julien, hearing that he might be doing some different gearing out there. Again, he's running at his own pace. And I'm going to my in-car for Julien. He is in 4th gear. He's not shifting at all. And he does a big lift going into 3 and 4. So I think Julien is out there trying to save some fuel. He actually would save more fuel if he got up in the 5th and 6th gear. But I think he's trying to do something a little different here. So we'll see what he's doing. He might be down on the engine map, rather. I think that's kind of what he's working on.
Yeah, this is an interesting play because I've noticed this from every Altena car. We've seen this for the race leader, O'Sullivan. Altena's doing it. Vogelsang's in 5th. Lau's the only driver really running in 6th up at the front. Christensen's in 4th. You have the 85 that's right now running in 6th gear and 5th gear. Clendy's not full fuel save. Dahlgren's in saving it right now in 5th gear amongst those. And Engrave, as you would expect, is running the fuel save, running as low as 4th gear in some of the straightaways and corners. So it's a little bit of a gamesmanship on depending on your spot here and where you want to be on your strat. Some drivers are definitely turning down the wick here to be able to save, while others are saying, I'm just going to run my laps.
And this is kind of, you talked about it, JJ. We're kind of in those dog day laps of the race now where if I was at this race in real life, this is the point where a lot of people get up, go to the restroom, go buy another hot dog, whatever. there's not much going on. We're just making laps to our next pit stop. Now, a lot can happen in this time frame. You can still make a mistake and screw up your race, but provided you just run your pace and you get it to the next pit stop, this is kind of where we are at this part of the race right now and part of a 500-mile race. It's just, there isn't always racing going on. There's cars on the track, but we're at that point that we're just kind of getting from point A to point B without making a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. This is the point where a lot of drivers would be communicating with spotters, communicating with crew chiefs, engineers, you like it, on the pit wall, to try to optimize what they can do now to set up the best run to the finish. It's sort of like in a marathon or in a cycling race. A cycling race is probably better use here. So when you sort of come into the end, usually you see everyone trying to stay behind someone else, trying to save a little bit of energy and give themselves the best positioning for the last sprint to the finish, the last 100-meter sprint. And that's what we're sort of seeing play out here. So these guys will be doing all the hard work now to try and build themselves a nice buffer and try and put themselves in the best place possible for that final however many laps it is to the finish. We may have a caution, we may not have a caution, so they need to plan for both outcomes.
A peloton, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Indianapolis actually, among its motor racing history, also has a pretty good racing history with bikes as well. In fact, not too far from the Speedway is a Olympic-style velodrome called the Major Taylor Velodrome. And when the Pan Am Games came to Indianapolis, and in the past, the Olympic trials have also been held in Indianapolis for cycling. Have been held at that velodrome. It kind of looks like a miniature. The best way to put it, it kind of looks like a miniature version of Bristol. It's just super high banked and it's right off the highway and everything. But there's a big history of cycle racing, bicycle racing in Indianapolis as well. Aside from the car racing that we're watching right now, as watching them on law. But going into 3 and 4 right now, James Watson is getting put a lap down after a long day. He was involved in that early incident, and Liam O'Sullivan gets on by him. And Liam O'Sullivan coming to pit road. That might have been bad timing for Liam to catch that lap traffic at the wrong time. But a scheduled stop now for Liam, who is now exactly 30 laps on this stint. Exactly 30 laps. So that will get him... Well, we'll start doing the math now. We'll start doing the math. He's at 113.
That would put him at 58, then in theory to 28 laps to go. If he was going 30-30 on each of those respective stints.
That's 2 more stops because that gets him to 173. And normally, if you do the old Nick DeGroot strategy, if you don't know who Nick DeGroot is, he's a motorsports journalist that often for motorsports.com that races with us at iRacing. He always did this strategy when I would race with him in Indianapolis, whether it be a 100-lap race or a 200-lap race. 30 laps from the end. Like clockwork. You can set your watch to it. He comes in and does that last pit stop, and then he's done for the entire race. And I've seen him win races that way, too. So normally the lap 170 is the Nick DeGroot strat, or lap 70 is the Nick DeGroot strat. And if you're any time past lap 170, in this case, that would put Liam kind of in the neighborhood of 173. He's kind of in the neighborhood of 2 more stops and being good to go at that point.
Yeah, it's all about knowing this in terms of your plotting and planning, and I'm expecting some of the drivers to be able to go a little bit further with this window now with the adjustments on the stints. This is why I think for a lot of those who topped off, it's a prime window to really take the free stop and be able to have a bit more flexibility that we're now seeing come into play here. Because do the math, if for Kaleni, for example, and there are 10 laps, maybe 11, that would get him to around 75-ish laps to go. Yep. Then you do the math after that point, it gets you to 45. And then after that point, it gives a little bit more flexibility on when you actually take the stop and take a little less fuel to shorten up your said pit stop. So it really... Julian's coming in.
And 44 Nation coming in as well. John Christensen having himself a good race. That's going to put Vogelzang to the point and staying right in his trail. Definitely 100% saving fuel, Amon Law.
Yeah, that...
Watching Julien coming down pit road. Sorry, go ahead.
I was about to say, Law's been amongst those, remember, running the higher gear much of this run. It's 6th gear. Talked about it earlier, where everybody else is going down 4th, running maybe 5th. Lau's just pinned it in 6th. He's kept it in 6th gear much of this run, not taking the lower RPM band, which can see you, or rather higher RPM band with the lower gears in this case.
Look at him as Vogelzang leaves the racetrack to come to pit road. Hatsuma now in front of Law, and Law went looking for that draft as he was weaving down the front straight. So Law is still trying to squeak out as much mileage as he can as he goes around. Hatsuma really caught him at a wrong point going into turn 2. As we watch the leaders now on pit road. Move Klindy up to 2nd. Jesper Dahlgren now 3rd. Strauss in 4th. Seb Kinder, that's another name. Strauss and Kinder with Team Watson Racing. They have a former teammate of theirs that won this race. That was Matthias Kraus. Won this race a couple of seasons ago. Kraus, a Team Watson Racing guy. So these guys have picked up a lot of information from him in the past, and they are doing reasonably well as Law is coming to pit road now for his scheduled stop at lap 118.
Yeah, went to 34, including the in lap this time. So a little bit farther on the mark, still outside the range, obviously. Try and shorten up to one less pit stop. Look at this. Ingrave and Kinder still saving hard. Ingrave on the bottom.
Now this is Fiolis, Kinder, and Ingrave. This is a battle for 4th.
Yeah,
and I think some are coming to pit road.
Nope.
No, they're not. They are. I do so many of these IndyCar races. In fact, that's all I do. So I hear the tone of the cars. Their tone of their cars are vastly different than the other cars that were racing at the point. In fact, Kinder allowing cars on by. I think someone is kind of purposely off the pace here, trying to save some fuel to hit a number.
I think it's Kinder, to be honest with you, because he, like I said, initially trying to say, he's at the outside.
He's at 207.5. Everyone else around him, 208, 209.
Yeah, so he is really backing this down. The 47 is taking the risk here on track position to really try and cut off the stop aggressively. I think Engrave's just trying to let the cars in front carry him, but Kinder's not feeling as confident here. And this is opening the door for a lot of those other cars here to maybe think about a setup. Watch to see if the 47 does it again here.
Can we ride with the 47? Get the director to ride with us on the 47? You can listen. You can hear. And look at the lights on the dash. He's at 5th gear, goes to 6th gear, hasn't lit up yet, so he's not using max. Now he's maxing. Watch it, listen to his lift. Lift, another lift, down the 4th gear. 2 very deliberate downshifts. Listen again. And again, I do so many of these IndyCar races. I just now hear it. And he is definitely saving fuel off the pace, but not like off the pace because he's damaged or handling bad. He's purposely off the pace, trying to hit a number, JJ.
Yeah, I mean, he's 26 laps into this stint, so he's on the same current trajectory, I'll call it, as everyone around him. But we've seen cars go to 35 to 38 lap stints, and I wonder if this is Seb really trying to open up that window to give himself a little bit of a safety buffer towards the end of the race, maybe to give himself the opportunity to fuel up a little bit more and be able to burn a little bit more fuel than the others. And we're riding on board with Glenworth as well, who's on the same strategy.
Too, and it is getting spicy back with Kinder, as now he is caught up to Ingrave and Fiolis, as Ingrave was taking a stab at Fiolis down the front stretch, and Fiolis went defensive to the inside. I thought we were going to go see a 2-wide moment with a shallow entry, and that was going to make things exciting on exit, but all of a sudden Kinder now back into this battle.
Yeah, I think he's gone from major pushback to now pushing tempo a little bit more, because he ran the 42.6s the last time by a little quicker than the cars in front. So I think Kinder, likes where his number is a little bit better. I'm not quite sure.
Mitchell's doing the same thing, and he's in this battle too.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of gamesmanship coming into play here as we tick down the laps to try and make sure, can you try and get yourself to the big number, the magic number to be.
Big run, big run, big run, big run. Oh, I thought he was going to go 2 for 1, but he gets Hunter.
Yeah, what that's done is just open up the gap a little bit too much to Fiolis in front. Now, Fiolis is at risk, whereas Kinder maybe seems to want to get the hammer down a little bit more. He made the move on Engrav just now, and we'll see that Fiolis does not have a car in front to sort of give him any help. And with the chasing Angry Pack behind him, he's going to be next on the list for the 47 machine.
Justin, why would, if we're trying to save fuel here, and if that's what Seb's trying to do here, why would he want to pass Fiolis anyway?
That's a great question. If it is that circumstance, I'm not sure. Dahlgren's coming down.
He's done.
And has already done.
Yeah, he's down out in the way. He needs to stay below that white line. He's trying to merge back in down the backstretch, and now he's back on the racetrack coming into the neighborhood of Vinci. Back to 17th position.
So it seems to be with the two different strategies we've got going on. One of them is with looking at potentially, I think it might have to be, if it stays green, this is assuming if it stays green. As soon as we see the yellow lights come on and we get a caution, everything I'm about to say goes completely out the window, okay? It's going to be a new playing field. But the ones, so you have the strategy that the likes of Clemworth, Strauss, who else is on that strategy? I think that Dahlgren's on that strategy as well. Is the strategy to try and just get to the end of the race. So what is this? We're sort of nearing lap 126. So these guys will make this stop, and then they'll have one more, and then they'll ideally try and aim to make it bang on lap 200 with 35 lap stints.
I'm not sure that was Charpente smacking the inside wall coming to his stall on pit road.
Might get a replay it. Actually, here we go. So we're going to come into the pits. We're going to slow it down on board with Charpentier. We're going to see those 60. Cones. That's where we have to be at the pit limit.
Miles
and
per
we're
hour.
absolutely fine.
Yep, on the button.
Everything
There's
looks pretty
pedestrian. So you just hit that. You'll never go any faster than it, provided you hit the button and it just boom.
Ooh. And he misses it as well.
Yeah.
So that's going to cost vital seconds for Charpentier. Clenworth he's come out 5 below Julien as Kyle Clenworth, and he's come out behind Jean Christensen as well. So having a look over, I might need to have a look at these pit times to see if he actually made a mistake. And it was actually a good stopping time in the box for Clenworth of 8.6 seconds stopped. But I think he lost it. I'm comparing this to Julien. He lost it, I think, in the overall pit lane time. So that's the time from where you start. Yeah. Basically where the 60 mile per hour starts.
Or where I forget where the timer actually starts. I think it's right when the wall starts.
Yeah. And I have a feeling that that's all to do with the launch out of the box, Gary. I think that's to do with maybe he was... I know that drivers don't use the pit limiter on the initial launch out of the box because it gives you that little bit of extra power or a little bit of extra performance.
Yep. It does. It does bog you down a little bit. Fiola's coming to pit road, part of that group that was saving back there. So he is the first to blink. Also coming to pit road right behind him is Chris Rice. Hunter Ingram now picks up the lead. He is 34 laps into this stint. And remember, he went, 35 plus last time. So he's looking at his next to last stop now, depending on when he decides to make that turn down pit road. Mason Mitchum also is ascended to the top now. Remember I said watch Mason at Kansas? Well, he's doing kind of the repeat of it here at Indianapolis. Gary Lovern also doing pretty well today in the red and white IU colored car as he is coming, no, it looks like he was coming off the pit road, but he's a teammate to Mason Mitchum. He's right in his draft. Gary Lovern up 25 spots to P3, Justin. So he's playing the long game at the moment. Now we got Julien now reached Liam O'Sullivan as he, JJ, I don't know how much he's going to race this thing out. Again, I still think we're in a fuel save situation on some of these drivers. I think getting there is half the battle, and the other half of the battle is trying to hit a number.
I think that's what it is. It's that part of the race where you're just only racing yourself and only racing your own numbers. Looking at the likes of F-Tink and O'Sullivan, they were sort of looking to race together a little bit as our next bunch of cars makes the turn left down pit road. So Gary Lovin getting 35 along with Engrav getting 36. That's going to be costly. We didn't get on the live stream. Maybe we'll get a replay of that as well to see what happened that time. Here we go. So into the pits, this was absolutely fine. Again, we're going to look pretty pedestrian. So he's flicking between first and second gear. That's a road course technique that you'll see a lot in the likes of the IVRA Championship and IMSA eSports. And what that does is boost the mile per hour by 1 or 2. And whoa! He just snags a rear brake, Gary, and sort of pivots the car almost away from the pit box.
That puts his next stop, if we stay green, and again, we are prefacing all this speculation on the word if we stay green, at lap 166, and that puts him in the neighborhood of his next stop being his last stop.
Yeah, these drivers that just got to 37, I think they are in an interesting spot here, because here's the thing. You get to 35-ish now on this upcoming stint, Gary. That's with a lot of fuel save, mind you. That's the very top end of this fuel window that we normally have seen in the past for this type of car. You might be able to one-stop it here. It's going to require a lot of saving, obviously, guys, but it's an opportunity here for some of those drivers, especially Engrave, especially Mitchum, especially Epting, to try and steal away this race from the drivers who are looking to add an extra stop to this race. There's a lot that will have to go right, but right now it's looking like they might be close to stretching. You see how some of the drivers are really backing it down.
This is right in through, this is two teammates, so you got to give each other a little bit of extra. Actually, it's F-Tink. I'm sorry, I thought that was F-Tink with Lal. But that's F-Tink, and right behind F-Tink, that's Chris Rise. This is for 15th and 16th on the racetrack. Also Dan Inch in 14th. So 14th, 15th, 16th in this year's cars. And they're so separated from the cars in front of them, I don't think it's going to do them any good to really race. They need to kind of work together and try to maximize the best lap times possible and hope for a caution. Back to watching the battle at the front. Liam O'Sullivan, former winner here, Julien Altena. Like I said, done everything in this series but win this race. He has been in position about 5 times before but has not been able to pull it off. He is right there looking at the attenuator of his teammate and the guy that he's chasing the most in the points in this series, and he would very much like to one spot better than him before we get to lap, or actually as we get to lap 200 and get the long sought-after race for the admin here of the series, as he is now approaching, this duo of drivers is reaching lap traffic. A little bit further back, that's Milan Vogelsang. Very quietly, up in 4th spot, just riding out behind Among Long. Very quietly, these two working together, and just distantly behind Vogelsang is John Christensen. Christensen has been bracketing the bottom portion of the top 5 for pretty much the second half of this race, and he's been hanging tough. 44 Nation shouting strong right now as he has brought the Easter egg colored car up into the bottom portion of the top 5. But watching this battle between Lal and Vogelsang.
It's been a story of a lot of the current season of iRacing IndyCar action, hasn't it? O'Sullivan, Altena, Sullivan. We had the same action on Wednesday night for the finale of the GIC, and we had a fantastic opening lap battle between those two there. But one thing I definitely want to point out to you, Gary, look who's in P6 and look who's in P7. We have 2 other teammates that seem to be working well together and have worked well together in the past around this circuit. So you know what I would love to see towards the end of this race is a fantastic 2v2 team versus team battle for top honors here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Wouldn't that be a treat?
And a battle for position for 8th. Strauss around Andreas Vinci. Again, Vinci had an issue in this portion of the racetrack earlier in the race, and he is hanging on to the top 10. He goes back to 9th. Strauss now up to 8th. Pim Van Gastel on the other end of this battle, creeping into the picture. He is in 10th. Today's 15th running of the Velocity Online Racing Indianapolis 500-mile race, presented to you by the Alzheimer's Association and ALZ.org. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality and care and support. But they can't end Alzheimer's without your help. To learn more, and more importantly, to donate, go to ALZ.org. Link is in the description, and donate to the Alzheimer's Association today. I want to thank them for sponsoring the Indy 500 one more time for the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. As their driver, their sponsor driver, Dan Inch, in 14th spot, still on the lead lap, having a good day. We're watching Dan Inch as he is right around where he started this race, so maintaining that pace all race long. But back to the battle that we're watching at hand on the racetrack right now on your screen. Glendy and Jesper Dahlgren. You're not going to see much racing between these two, Justin. Not at this point in the race anyways. I think they're just kind of out there turning laps and waiting to get to that final stop, and then, just like Rick Mears did when he raced here, turn the wick up, and then it's time to go racing after that final stop.
That's my thought here too, because you've seen Epton could have taken the inside line on Inch, could have easily made the pass. Didn't elect to take it because chance to lift, chance to save, chance to regroup, and be able to try and save in terms of their plan here.
Ooh. Rise, I think, got up into the wall off a 2. And that's where you see Vogelzang's coming to pit road. He is on a meatball. Meatball flag for one of our leaders. Did he smack the wall?
Turn two, he hit the wall. Can't confirm. 26 pushed up. You watch turn 1. Was looking okay. Was a little higher than what you usually would like. But turn 2. It just did not cut to the white line like it was supposed to, and it just went up the hill.
That is a hard lick, and no Cinderella story for Milan in Indiana this year, as he is on pit road with a meatball. Nicholas Charpentier also with a meatball on pit road, or actually I think he's still on the racetrack, but he'll be having to come to pit road to answer that before getting disqualified. Not sure what happened with him, but he is showing a meatball.
So this is Charpentier. He's coming down, so he's side by side, and there's a tiny little bit of contact there. So he's going to go to the inside and give some racing room. And is he just going to wash entry up again?
Oh, no.
No, so we've kept it all composed. And then we're going to cut to the inside. And does it get away from him again? No. Okay.
Did he maybe make contact that was netcode contact that came back as a meatball with Hugo?
Oh, I have a feeling this might be it.
Oh, yeah, up in the gray.
The outside. Bang. Pancakes the wall.
You're right. That is a bang. You saw it coming. And that is going to be some repair work for his crew on pit road, ending his best chances at a good finish. So some excitement here in the lap 140 neighborhood for two drivers that have tried to keep it pretty much between the lines. And Liam O'Sullivan, pit road, scheduled stop 142. He is 29 coming to 30.
I thought I would try and see that number 12 car come a little bit further into the race rather than only running the 29-30 laps bang on. I thought that he would try and at least give himself a little bit more of a buffer coming towards the end of this race.
It'll still get him to, if he goes 30, it still gets him into that 170 plus neighborhood, which is still setting up pretty good for a final stop. So the math still works, but it's going to be a much longer fill for him at lap 170 versus something that goes deeper into 170, closer to 180.
Yeah, that is a little bit intriguing with just how the fuel burn's actually gone around as a result of how things have gone this race. Much earlier than you would expect, but I think that's just kind of the nature of we finally got some major
battle for third.
Let's put it
battle for third. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. Battle for third as Clindy is caught. 44 Nation, our defending series champion versus the guy that brings a lot of people into the chat, and slides across his nose. Clindy again gets back in the attenuator and tucks it back under, gets a run, and goes underneath Christensen. And this is a critical pass because this gets Clindy around one of the Altena Autosports rear gunners, and it can't slow him down. So next up for him is Amon Lal. Same thing for Dahlgren. If Dahlgren can get around, that's going to be beneficial.
You know what? I love that bit of racing. I love how close they got there. They were respectful enough to give each other the room, but they were aggressive enough to make it interesting. And that was some brilliant defensive stuff from Christensen, who almost tags the wall on the exit of turn number 2. He's going to be vulnerable now to Jesper Dahlgren behind him. The two teammates trying to carve their way through the first guardman of the Altena Autosport boys. To the inside goes Jesper Dahlgren. He's going to go slide up the inside in the short chute. Beautiful move. Absolutely textbook stuff. And he is going to follow his teammate. The cars numbered 1 and 2 are charging for places number 1 and 2 on circuit.
Hey, Justin, do you think every time Jesper goes side by side with a car through 3 and 4, flashbacks of early in the race come through his head? It's got to.
Yeah, I think it's kind of absolutely. Yeah, at some point, you have to think about and reflect on the situations. I think some of the drivers are going to definitely have some of those flashes of what they did earlier pop up. Lau just indicated pit stops. Christensen coming in. Whole wave of cars expecting to peel on down. Make the left-hand turn down pit road. Altena is amongst them.
Leader, Lal. Clindy will stay out. Dahlgren will stay out. Christensen comes to pit road. Strauss stays out. Pin Van Gastel coming in. So these are next to the last stop. Vince coming in. These are next to the last stops for all these drivers. They have one more stop to go to make it to the 500-mile distance. No green-white checker gimmick here. It's 500 miles, 200 laps. If it ends under caution, it ends under caution. Julien leaving the box. He looks good to go. Lal leaving the box. He looks good to go. Christensen leaving the box. Looks good to go.
It definitely seems that we've got two sort of go-to strategy options here. We've got everyone that's pitted now, and then we've got the likes of Klemworth, Dahlgren, Strauss, Engrav, etc., etc. And everyone else that isn't on that definitive strategy of big groups, so your Liam O'Sullivan's, your Julien Altenas to a certain extent, pitting 1 or 2 laps around the rest of the field, depending on the situation. It seems to be that everyone sort of has grouped towards we haven't so much, what I'm trying to say, got some wild card drivers that are going for some completely bonkers strategy that seems to, is going to completely blindside the entire field. So it seems to be that there's 2 options here to get to the end of this race, and it's sort of, well, they've already made their beds, but at the start of this race, it seemed to be that was the only way it was going to go, given the massive, monumental green flag run that we have now had.
Clindy, remember, qualified with an Xbox controller. Had a bad start, so he needed to pick up some track position and took advantage of those early cautions to get him this track position to where he is now. Jesper Dahlgren, we talked about it. He had a moment with a car in turns 3 and 4 where he was trying to pass to the inside, just wasn't getting a lot of space on the outside. Contact made. He came to the inside of the racetrack. I don't think he made any contact with the wall, but car caught enough damage where he had to come to pit road, went down a lap getting a repair, but because of those early cautions and that we have the lucky dog rule in this series, was able to get his lap back, and voila, the 2-time winner of this race is back battling for the lead with his teammate, the defending champion and series champion of the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar champion. Then the Pink Panther is Clindy. Strauss is in third. Hunter Ingrave, another Rogue Racing teammate, who is really staring at his next stop here in about 16 laps or so. And that's going to be his last stop. Clindy coming to pit road right now, but Hunter Ingrave is 4th. And Brian Fiolis very quietly is started up in the top 5 and is up now in the top 5 again. And we haven't really shouted him out, but he is lurking.
So in terms of a caution sort of perspective, I think that these guys here are the guys that are going to favor that caution, because with the 30 lap stints, they're going to still have around, depending on whether they go to 35 or whether they go to 30, they're going to have in the range of, let's say, 15 to 20 laps left. These guys are going to really want that caution. On the other hand, all the Altena Autosport cars, they're not going to want that caution. So it's a really, if it stays green, I think these two cars on screen coming out of pit road, that of being Clemworth and Dahlgren, they're going to have a bit more work to do in the final stages of this race.
Strauss now picks up the lead, and Pim Van Gastel goes on by him for track position. Strauss is going to tuck in behind Pim and get some benefit of the draft. Watching now a battle a little bit further back. This is F-Tink, Rice, Mitchum. Mitchum getting shouted out in chat. Dan Inch in the ALZ car, in the title sponsor car. Seb Kinder just up the road in front of him. We saw Seb in the last stint trying to save a bunch of fuel. So again, I think we got a bunch of fuel savers in this group right here.
Yep, I think at this point, everybody is very concerned with the amount of laps left to go, I think, just based on the fact that the numbers are so tight for a lot of these cars. You have to figure out a way to turn down the speeds. Mind you, we started the race a second quicker than what we're turning right now in lap times, if you think about by seconds and minutes. So a lot of the cars that we see in packs like this have backed it down excessively to make sure they at least save a little bit better, try and extend that fuel run just to make the window. The people at the front, I don't think are concerned at all about that.
No, O'Sullivan and Altena, who, if we're all in agreement, when everyone makes their next stop, they'll pick back up the lead. So they are effectively the race lead. Oh, Rice into the wall off of 3. He seems to be okay, though, but a little bit of a kiss there. But Altena, O'Sullivan, 2:15, 2:16 last time by. This group right here that we're watching with Inch, 2:11, 2:12, 2:12, 2:11 for these cars in this group right here. So they have backed it down about 4 to 5 miles per hour slower than what we think the effective race leaders will be when they pick back up the lead.
But right now, I think, for the most part, if you're some of these drivers that are in that massive save, all you can do is just let the cars fall as they may. You've tried a saving strategy to win this race. It takes so much angles in terms of that. But what do you say about this, Jack, as we close in under 46 to go?
Well, it's once you've sort of committed to that fuel saving strategy, it's very, very difficult to try and alternate off it. Whether you think it's the right way to go, or whether you think it's not so much the correct way to go. I think that if the race stays green, I think these guys that we're looking at on screen now, your Chris Rise, your who else is in there? Chris Rise, Mitchum, Lovren, F-Tink.
Yep.
I think they're really in a much better position than the likes of Clemworth and Dahlgren, who will need to make that extra splash. But look at those two in the background behind these group of 5 cars, hunting them down. It's like that.
It would be interesting to get on their in-cars and listen at how fast do they want to approach this group. They know they have to stop here soon, but how fast do you want to reach this group knowing that this group is going to have to come to pit road? And we're riding with F-Tink, but about 4 cars on back is O'Sullivan and Altena approaching this group of cars that are kind of about 4 to 5 miles per hour off the pace on the fuel save. We're watching O'Sullivan. He has reached them. He is reached right now. He is there.
Yeah, look at the speed difference. Even through turns 3 and 4, we've caught the best part of 4 car lengths on the car in front. That's Lovren in the 34 that we're going to go straight around the outside. No, we're not, as there's a bit of contact. There's not someone sideways in front. Boys, calm down. This isn't 2 to go. We've still got 44 laps to go, boys.
I'm glad we got to the in-car here because we're going to 3 wide down the backstretch.
3 wide.
Julian's going to thread the needle.
Wow.
He just wants to stay. He wants to stay pace because he knows that if he gets car the wall, Lovren behind. But Julien, if he does not stay within the draft window, there's a real risk here, Justin, that Julien can get detached.
Huge risk, actually, with how things are looking. Absolutely. Julien at this point getting absolutely swarmed with some of this traffic right now and some of this scuffling. Going to be a thought process here to be able to try and see, can they keep up with O'Sullivan, because O'Sullivan has been well in control all race, 52 laps led, and has had speed to run away at the end of runs.
3 laps away from the 400 lap mark, and just as Rick Mears said, you use the first 400 miles here. I said 400 lap, the 400 mile mark. Rick Mears said you use the first 400 miles here, or the 450 miles, to set your car up and get it in the position for the final 100 or last 50. And that's where we are just getting ready to get into that window right now as we watch back up to the front. It's still Hunter Ingrave, but is our leader as he's on that fuel strategy. And we suspect that he will come to pit road sometime in the next 10 laps or so, probably next 7 laps or so. As, whoa, Liam to the inside of Hatsima, trying to get on by. And again, Julien wants to keep pace. He doesn't want to get disconnected. And Liam knows he needs to keep his foot in it, and he does not want to give up any ground whatsoever. And they had to go through a gauntlet of lap traffic there, Justin. About 8 cars worth that they had to go through, and they survived it. But boy, there were tight moments there.
Very nerve-wracking moments, absolutely, with that traffic of the way Hatsima has paced himself around the track in particular here.
Oh, Julien, into the wall!
They're scraped to the wall. Just, I think that's partly with the Aero Watch coming into play a little bit, even from that far back. Altena's just fighting to be able to hold on, and keep the grip. It's worth noting that you may not see it as well here. The air cloud starting to form up. It is getting to mostly cloudy, so that may factor for your track temp.
Tip is down. It's all just over 100 degrees. As now the sun starts to peek out, but we are under shade in turn 1. Looks like we are under shade here on the south end of the racetrack. So that's going to impact how these cars handle and tire degradation, JJ. Question though, if we're going to get down to a low track tip, and let's say we get under 100 degrees on the track temperature for our final stop, I don't know, I'm just going to throw it out there. Does anyone gamble and just go fuel only?
I think it's going to be, I don't know. Personally, I don't have the knowledge in my own brain to be able to give you a straight up answer. But if I'm being completely honest with you, I think that there's going to be enough fuel to put in the car anyway to get the 4 tires on, at least for the most part. For the most part, sorry. I think that's going to be the way to go regardless, because we've seen so much in how indifferent the speed is. Not indifferent, sorry, how different really the speed is, as Julien seems to be, sorry, I thought that was Julien slowing down, but it's not. A little bit of a jump scare there, but it seems to be that this is the O'Sullivan that we missed on Wednesday, Gary. We saw him on Wednesday being way more laid back, not really doing too much, but today, the last 15 laps, he's been on it. He's been going for
the intensity has been there.
Exactly.
And you were mentioning that Julien slowing down to echo the old track announcer, Tom Carnegie, when he always used to say, and Mario is slowing down. And that's the type of luck that Julien's had here, and he does not want to necessarily have that level of luck, and he's still on it. He's still under power, despite smacking the wall about a couple laps ago, but they did encounter another car coming off a pit road. That is Chris Rise, but they are past him. So now we are at 38 to go. We are about 8 laps away from the window to where we for sure know that any final stop made, you could go to the distance. We did see Hunter Ingrave come to pit road, and Hunter did not go as deep into that stint as he wanted. He only went 29. He pitted at lap 160. He still has to do another stop, boys, or he needs some help with caution. So I'm thinking now that the gamble is not paid off for those a little bit further on back. And I think the win is going to come down, unless there's a caution, the win is going to come down to these two right here who have themselves a comfortable lead over Amanlal. Now, if they have to back it down for any reason or something like that, they still have a stop to go. But they have to back it down for any reason. Maybe Lal sneaks into the picture. But I think right now that this is where the race is going to come down to. It's going to come down to our points leader and to the guy that's still looking for his first win here after 15 starts.
I think Gary Lovin is the first, actually, of the final pit stop, as I saw in the background. Yes, so Gary Lovin is into the pits. I don't think that will affect anything in the top sort of half of the standings too much, but he has been on that larger fuel-saving strategy, so I expect him to definitely make it to the end with 36 laps sort of to go now. That's a little bit further than what he has done on this stint, being 34, as F-Tink now goes to pit road as well.
This is a bit of an early stop. He's going to have to do a little bit of a fuel save. He did 33 on this stint. He did 37 on his previous stint, so he can do it, but he's going to have to save. And this could be, Justin, could be his final stop.
I mean, theoretically, it has to be if he wants a chance at a good finish, if not to win at this point. I mean, right now, with the way things are cycling, and so Sullivan's race to lose, even with the intervals, the way they're starting to look almost, even with the strategy plays here. So it's looking prime for the 12 and the 11, just with the way things are cycling, even with the extra stops to factor in for some of these teams today. Some of these drivers like Mitchum, at this point, need a bit of a miracle, I think you could say. Dahlgren, I know, was one of the contenders expected to win coming into today, or be one of the contenders to win. It's been a tough time since this incident. It's the highest he's really been. Hasn't been able to get the cautions, to get those restarts to bundle up the pack.
Clindy has caught Lal, though.
Yeah, you're right on that. It is still, though, to the lead, 3.5 seconds, Gary. That's my concern.
Yeah, here comes Mason Mitchum to pit road. This could be his final stop. And like you said, it needs to be his final stop. The very first Indy 500 that we had here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship happened back August 24th in 2020 during the COVID period. Right around the same time we had the real Indy 500 in that August. If you might remember that, JJ, when we had that oddball August Indy 500, the Takuma Sato won. Oscar Gonzalez, OGG, as Clindy goes on by Lal. And that is a pass for P3 and move our defending series champion and race champion up another position ahead of Lal here. Move him to third. OGG won the inaugural race by a tenth of a second over Ivan Hernandez. Julien finished third in that race. Luis Gonzalez Nunez, my broadcast buddy, is the pass for the lead, pass for third, swaps back, the Lal goes, and I think we might have some cooperation going on here. I think that's what we got going on here. That was, I think Clindy allowed that to happen too easily. I think they're trying now to work together. They have kind of no choice now to get past that 3-second barrier that you talked about, Justin. They gotta work together to reel in the leaders here. But Luis Gonzalez Nunez won the second ever race here. Then Alex Van de Sant. You might remember Alex from watching the Pro Series. But if you go back into the VOR archives, he won 4 straight Indy 500 races here from 2021 through 2022. Thomas Geisler, good old Tommy G, won season 7. Jesper Dahlgren won season 8. But Liam O'Sullivan won season 12. Clindy won season 14. So could we be seeing a first-time winner with Julien? Could we be seeing a second win with Liam O'Sullivan? Could we see a second win with Clindy? Or maybe we see Jesper Dahlgren with a miracle of miracles. Do you believe in miracles? Yes, it is that time of year with the U.S. hockey team playing in the Olympics. Maybe he gets up there with a late run and gets his third win here at the Brickyard. We shall see. Don't go anywhere. We are right in the Nick DeGroot zone with 30 to go. Final stops pending. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Liam O'Sullivan, though, pacing the front, and now he has F-Tink as a rear gunner for him.
I was just going to point that out, Gary. F-Tink seems to be doing O'Sullivan a massive favor, who we do expect our leader to be coming down to pit road in the next 2 or 3 laps. But Julien probably is getting a little bit hot and bothered by that, seeing two of his teammates working so well together and him not being too involved in that sort of trio of swap drafting as O'Sullivan comes into pit road. This is going to be the last stop for the man that started on pole and is leading the race. And almost, as Justin, you said, it could be his race to lose. But something I've kept in mind is, although Clenworth needs to make another stop, it will be a shorter stop. So it will be all to play for. I think it will be potentially still O'Sullivan that leads the way, but it just depends by how much.
Feels like playing a game of Press Your Luck, an old TV afternoon game show that used to be on here. And yeah, you would always hear him say, as they push the button, no whammies, no whammies, no whammies, stop. And that's, of course, when the whammy comes in. And that's the last thing you want to do on your final stop, Justin. And we don't have to look too far in real history when Scott Dixon, a couple of years ago, coming down for his final stop in Indianapolis, sped coming to pit road, and it cost him a chance to win.
Yeah, you don't want to make that mistake at this point of the race. Money stop situation, you better be, I almost argue, taking a little bit more conservative on the entry because, yeah, you can lose a couple tenths, but do you want to lose the race at this point by making that massive, massive mistake of cutting across the speed limit, going up to the commitment cone, or missing your pit stall, mind you, either? You're going to have to be careful if you want to try to win this race with a lot of these money stops about to come in. Keep in mind, a couple of these drivers too, by the way, Gary, going to be a lot more lighter on the fuel load, you would have to think, to save an extra few seconds in the stall itself.
We're watching Jesper Dahlgren, who is just behind Christensen, but JJ, and also I'll get the director's attention, Clindy's cut it to 1.6 seconds back to Julien. Julien now has lap traffic in front of him, and he has lap traffic behind him. And he's at a point where, he goes high, and his car's staying low in the short chute. That's going to slow this whole group down. Julien is on super thin ice right now. We got to get back up to that battle to the front. Yeah, there we go. And here comes Clindy now, gets it around the lap traffic. But Clindy at 1.2 now behind this battle. He has cut into it.
Yeah, Julian's not going to be liking the sight of that fluorescent pink nose on the number 1 car. Kyle Clenworth has got a mission and he's got the bit between his teeth. Both of them are relatively close in terms of stint time. Altena only 4 laps further into his stint than Clendy, so it's going to be interesting to see whether Clendy has been saving a little bit more this stint to close that up to be closer to Julien, or whether he's going to have to pit a little bit earlier and sort of play into his. Or is he coming into the bits now, Gary?
Clindy pitting, also coming to pit road. There is another, one of the Altena Autosports cars. That is on low. Into 13. Throwing caution literally to the wind here at the Brickyard, who there's a lot of superstitions going on, and the number 13 car is normally one of them. I think the last one I think Danica drove a 13 at one point when she drove for Ed Carpenter in her final race. Also, a 13 green car on top of that. So talk about double whammies.
I would love to see where Clindy comes out in comparison to O'Sullivan, because this is going to be the gap for the sprint to the end of the race now.
Here he comes, and there goes O'Sullivan.
Oh, miles away.
Yeah, this is going to be a dominant advantage up on the front for O'Sullivan for the net lead here. Clendy.
Clendy. He was pedaling it off the exit road there, and he actually clipped the grass.
Yeah, that's a little bit wide on the exit. I think he got lucky here. Remember, can't cross that grass. If he would have gone any deeper, he might have got an unsafe entry, or exit rather.
In the UK, we call that using all of your entry fee, using every single bit of available real estate to get the best exit back out onto the racetrack. Although he does have 2 cars behind him, does Kyle Clenworth, to help chase down O'Sullivan. But at the moment, I think the gap might just be a little bit too big. And the cars that he has around him you see, he's sort of by himself now. He's sort of built the gap to Aman Lal behind him, who he would have wanted to potentially swap draft with, but that gap's just a bit too big.
In Indiana, we call that yard work. Julien, we expect him to come to pit road anytime now. He went 31 on his last stint. He's at 31 this time, and here he is on cue. Thank you very much, Julien. Final stop here, 23 to go, as he turns the lead now over to Hunter Ingram, who we know won't be able to make it unless a miracle happens here in the final stanza here on our 500-mile race. Well, we don't think he's going to come about 10 laps short, but Justin, you might as well keep it out there. Might as well.
I mean, that is the only chance for Engrave to win this race at this point, is hope for a miracle on gas, hope for a chance. Because right now, I don't know if you're even going to be able to push that limit because the laps don't add up here. But so at this point, for a lot of the others, it's the matter of, can you get the charge? Look at this exit we're seeing right now coming up for Altena.
It's about the same thing.
Very,
but he comes out in front of Clindy, but Clindy's going to have a head full of steam, and he's going to pull right up to the attenuator here by the time they get to turn 1. And now Clindy and Julien are going to have to figure this thing out and work together. And the last thing, well, maybe Julien does want this. The last thing Clindy really wants is Amon Law to be part of the discussion, because where does Law's royalties lie?
I think if you were Julien Altena right now, what kind of head do you want to have on, what kind of cap do you want to have on your head? Do you want to have the, I want to go and chase this first Indy 500 win? Or do you have the cap on of, I want my team to lock out a top 3 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? Because I think both things would be an incredible feat for the Altena Autosport team and Mr. Altena himself. But I reckon that if I was behind the wheel of that number 11, I would say, come on, Clenny, let's go get him.
Yeah, I think Julien wants the dub. And we've had teammates, Treadway Racing, for example, in '97 won with Arie Luyendyk, a Dutchman, getting the win at the Brickyard, and another second-place finish for Scott Goodyear that season. That was a Treadway Racing. So we've had 1-2s.
3 wide.
We've had 2 wide, 3 wide. Oh, that is so tight. And each one of these cars is just out at the same pace. I think they're all trying the same fuel. They're all hitting the same number. Oh. But we have seen teammates finish 1-2, and Julien has caught Liam O'Sullivan. He is there.
Here we go. Had to go for the dive. Had to set it on. Viola's the only car left on track. But at this point, O'Sullivan working to the inside. Altena trying to the outside groove. It hasn't worked much all day.
To the outside, just like Rick Mears and Michael Andretti in 91, and they're going to continue that through turn 2, down the backstretch, JJ.
Wow.
We got a drag race on our hands, and Julien to the point.
What a move from Julien Altena. That's twice in 2 races. He's put a class move on O'Sullivan, but he's going to have the inside. Into turn number 3 we go. Altena loses the place, back away from the lead, back into second place. But guys, you need to watch out. The pink nose is there. It's getting closer. Both pink noses, the pink and purple team of Clenworth and Amon Lau. They're licking their lips at this. We have 18 laps to go. We have 4 cars for the lead. What an incredible feat this is. Violas is 6 seconds out in front. It would be an amazing miracle if he was to get this car to the end, but I don't think he's quite going to do it.
I don't think he's saving up there, but we should probably get Mr. Producer Director guy to put us on an in-car on Clindy as he tries to run these 2 down, because he's going to be there in the next couple of laps, especially if Liam and Julien start to run and start to race together. And that's exactly what they're doing, is Julien goes to the inside and turns 1 and 2, but here comes Clindy, and Clindy is there. Clindy is there, Justin. We have a 3-way battle for the lead. 17 to go here at Indianapolis. Don't go anywhere, anybody. It's going to be a photo finish.
And that's what some hard charge as of late. Remember, before the stops, distance was 3 seconds. He's been quicker than the leaders by a few tenths as of late. A swap for the net lead. But Clendy is pushing and pushing hard. The question is, can he get something set up with the Euro wash?
Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching Velocity Online Racing's coverage of round 7 of 11 of the VOR IndyCar Series, coming to you from Indianapolis for the 15th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race presented by the Alzheimer's Association, where currently we have a 3-way battle for the lead. Even though Brian Fiolis is shown as the leader, this is effectively going to be our race lead when Fiolis comes to pit road. We don't think he is going to be able to make it to the end on his fuel mileage. He's gambling right now, but this is the battle right here. It's O'Sullivan, Altena, Clindy, Law. second, third, fourth, and fifth is going to eventually battle for eventual race number 1 when Fiolas comes to pit road. Make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. The next race for us here in the series for the championship is in 3 weeks, March 14th for round 8 of season 15. As the teams and drivers head to Richmond Raceway for the second running of the Richmond 300. Coverage starts 2 p.m. Eastern time on the 14th. It's all right here on the Velocity Online Racing channel, and you guys will be in the booth to cover that. I won't. I will be at the IIS race. That's that weekend. But we're looking for short track racing after we finish up Super Speedway here and 500 miles at the Brickyard.
Just looking at the amount of gap and the amount of time they've taken out of Fiolas, I think they might catch Fiolas before he needs to pit, you know. And this could...
Lindy, I think
using
Lindy
absolutely
set up the wrong point.
This is incredible racing to close out this race. I think they're going to catch... Oh, Fiolas is in the pits now.
Pit road,
so that's
pit road,
Fiolas on the top right of your screen. That was Fiolas coming down pit road. So this is now a complete dogfight for the end of this race. This is 4 cars, 4 drivers, 2 teams, 1 winner.
And then we have the title sponsor car just ahead of the leader, who is a lap down. He is going to, actually, he's on the tail end of the lead lap. This is 15th. That is Dan Inch right in front of the leaders, and they are going to encounter him in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, right now, Clendy's going to have to find a way to push as hard as possible. He's not really digging into this gap, really. But Dan Inch is right in front of the leaders. Might be a bit of a factor as lap traffic here in terms of the situation. The top 2 seem to be steadying out, coming to 12 laps to go. Altena struggling to close up now as the tires start to really wear on in.
Ingrave has made his final stop. He decided to come in a little bit early since he knew the math wasn't going to work out. He's in 5th, and he moves around Christensen. I believe they're working together to try to reel in the group in front of him, but they're just going to run out of time with 13 to go, coming to 12 to go.
Yeah, this gap is growing even more. O'Sullivan at this point, I think, is saying, you know what? It's a draft to pull on. I'm just going to try and pull this gap and run away. O'Sullivan's the best driver on long run here today. He's proven it all day long with his ability to break the draft. And he's doing that right now using the 52 as a drafting device. Watch for the draft to pull him alongside.
Goes to the inside on Dan Inch, gets on by, Inch stays high. Now Julien needs to encounter the same driver as he goes extra low in turns 3 and 4. Almost gets his lefts right on down to the concrete. Now Inch goes to the center of the racetrack, tries to stay predictable. Now he goes high. Going to give the draft to Julien. Julien's going to stay there. He's going to stay tucked in. Julien's going to go a full send going to the 1. And that, along with all that momentum, pulls him right back up to the attenuator of Liam O'Sullivan going into turns 1 and 2. 11 to go, JJ.
It's going to be a cracker of a finish. They're getting through the lap traffic with not too much difficulty. Courtesy and amazing props to Dan. Whoa! Swap for the lead into turn number 3. It seems to be that turn number 3 is the best place to make these moves. It seems that the amount of draft that you get down that back straight is almost too much, and it's almost, you know, you're opening the door and the door opens itself almost. It's almost too inviting. But talking about Dan Inch there being the lapped car in this, he's doing an amazing job being predictable and not holding up these guys too much, as Clendy's probably going to get a little bit frustrated there. A little bit of weaving, as I say. Oh my word, boys. Dan, just as I was praising you for how well you've managed this traffic, that could have ended in all worlds of pain for Carl Clentworth.
He goes high, and Clendy goes on by, and now there are no obstacles between the top 3. They are in direct contact with 10 to go. And we've heard this so many times. If you watch old Indy 500s by Paul Page, tells you the number of times that the leader leading at lap 190, that isn't the leader going to 200. We're going to watch that right now. As that time by, as Altena was the leader and O'Sullivan clips him at the line. Who is going to be the leader at 200? As now Clendy is working his way into the picture, because I think O'Sullivan and Altena are racing a little bit too hard, and now it's going to be a 3-way battle. Clendy's going to get there.
Yeah, Clendy trying to still dig. He needs them to almost hold each other up here. Altena pushing hard, got tight. O'Sullivan trying to block this bottom off the better line, and there they go for the Dragon.
It's going to be a massive feat of gamesmanship for these last 8 laps. I think that realistically we're not going to be seeing too much wheel-to-wheel action until the 5 to go mark. I think Julien here is in the favorable position. We saw last time the Global IndyCar Challenge went here. It was always the car in 2nd or 3rd place that always had the advantage going into that last few laps of running. And I think that Julien is simply just doing a dress rehearsal. He's figuring out where O'Sullivan is losing the time with these older tires and where he's gaining the time with the slipstream, and it's all about timing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Julien moves to the outside, back to in the toe, and it's a massive snake down the front straightaway. We stay the same with 7 laps to go.
Yeah. By the way, here in Heitzma, got a meatball flag. Let's take a look at this real quickly here. And one of the drivers that was looking to survive did not survive the race.
So close, just getting to the end sometimes now, 7 to the end. Sometimes for a lot of these drivers, just the 500 miles, completing the race is a victory in its own right. And I remember when I completed my 500-mile race, or at the time it wasn't 500 mile, and I just finished 13th. I was like, finally. But now we watch this battle for the lead. Clindy is there. Clindy is just kind of biding his time now as we watch these two slug it out the front. Clindy slowly slinking into the picture.
Yeah, you can tell with how aggressive the locking's getting here on the snaking. It's quite simple, Gary. You do not factor in the teammate side of things. You're trying to win the biggest race of the season and potentially one of your biggest races of your sim racing career, at least on the league side. You better find a way to hold on, and we know these two definitely hungry to try and win, and definitely hungry to try and see who bleeds the points as they go back and forth again.
Julien's going to hold the line to the outside as a little bit of a shallower entry for Liam. That's going to cause a higher exit. Julien might get a bit of a run here now, going down into 3, up to 2. Now
5 laps
going to have to
go.
get out of the way.
Exactly, 5 laps to go. We got a definite 3-way fight for the lead, but someone that I want to say is definitely not out of this is Aman Lau. That purple car, 4th in the queue. He's definitely doing the extremes. Whoa, barely tagging the wall there. As soon as I mention his name, I think he's just laying back a little bit and expecting some drama with the run to the flag. O'Sullivan once again hugging the inside wall, Altena to the outside.
Speed off. This is just scrubbing speed off. I don't know why that they're necessarily doing those aggressive moves down the straight. It's kind of hold your line and save it for the final couple of laps. But this is just allowing this battle up front to get closer and closer and closer. So 2025, Pelot led with 10 to go. Newgarden led with 10 to go in 2024. Award led with 10 to go in 23. Of course, he lost that race. Ericsson won with 10 to go with 2022. Rosenquist led in 2021 with 10 to go. Castro Neves won that. So the most recent IndyCar history back to 2019, if you lead with 10 to go, you're going to win the race. But there was a period between 2015 and 2018 that if you led with 10 to go, you weren't winning. Power lost in 2015 to Montoya. Newgarden lost in 2016 to Rossi. Chilton lost in 2017 to Sato. And Serbia lost in 2018 to Power. So again, just because you lead at 10 to go doesn't mean you're guaranteed a 500-mile race win. As we are 3 to go, we are inside 10 miles. A qualification run here at the Brickyard as we watch this battle between Liam O'Sullivan fighting to be a 2-time winner here and Julien Altena trying to get this long sought after first win after 15 starts here at the Brickyard. Looking to get the first sip of milk this time, coming to 2 to go at the line.
I think that strategy that O'Sullivan's doing of the constant weaving is, yes, it's a bit aggressive, and yes, it might end up going to the steward's room, but it's stopping the draft. It's stopping the run that Altena's getting, and the one that Clendy's getting for that matter as well. The more he's weaving, the less draft that he's giving off that Julien's able to suck up, and it's really, really playing into his favor here, Justin.
And right now, at this point, Altena might have to try one of the boldest moves possible here, try and stick to the outside again. Tight, trying to stick to the outside. We're coming up to the white flag this time through. Altena is going to need a massive run for a shot for the lead.
He needs to do a New Garden style pass right now. Liam O'Sullivan trying to defend like he's Ericsson from a couple of seasons ago. Clendy's there, white flag out. Leaders through 1 and 2 now on the south end of the racetrack. Going through the south end, now through 2. One more time down the back straightaway. Liam O'Sullivan looking for win number 2 at the Brickyard and another win this season to secure his point lead. Julien looking for win number 1. Clendy looking for win number 2. Coming into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Coming to the stretch run and a turn from home. High run for Liam O'Sullivan off the corner. Julien is going to be there. We're going to have a drag race off the corner. Coming off of corner number 4. Julian's there. He goes to the inside. He's going to have a run to the inside, and I don't know if he's going to get there. I think it's going to be Liam clips him by 33 thousandths of a second. 32 with the reach correct.
My goodness, Altena set that up perfectly on a platter. I'm surprised O'Sullivan pushed up the way he did in 3. That set up the chance for Altena to get the run. Altena didn't even bother with the snake down the back knowing what was going to happen. But it took a smart play up at the front for Altena to have a chance, but O'Sullivan dominated this race to get this win.
Oh my word, I really thought there was going to be contact there coming off of turn 4. I don't know about you guys, but that was way too close for comfort. But what an incredible job by all of them there. I mean, the strategy of defense was maybe a little bit aggressive from O'Sullivan, but at the end of the day, whatever gets the job done when it's the most important race of the year. Yeah, look how close that was. Almost taking the gearbox off of the number 12.
Just not enough of a run to be able to try and get the pass. That was the best the 11 could do, and at this point, a team 1-2. And how are they facing together like this?
Is he running out of
the
fuel?
6th podium finish for Julien here. As a little bit of love taps there on the front straight, and Liam O'Sullivan now becomes a 3rd multi-time winner here at the Brickyard in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship with the win here today, joining the win he took in season 12. He is now a 2-time winner. He joins Jesper Dahlgren as also a 2-time winner, and of course Alex Van de Sande, who won 4 consecutive races between season 3 and season 6. He's the all-time winner, and those are your only multi-time winners here in the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship here at Indianapolis. Here are your unofficial results. Again, let me key word on that. Unofficial results. Everything is subject to review. Liam O'Sullivan with the win. Julien Altena, another podium finish, and he's going to have to wait another season to try to get that first win. It will extend to now season 16 for Julien. Clendy, so close from coming home and defending his win from a season ago. Comes home in 3rd, Amon Law in 4th. Hunter Ingrave very quietly gets the 5th. A good run for Hunter. I'm going to say Hunter, he might be a candidate for the Luis Gonzalez Nunez driver of the race, but I think that's going to fall to another driver. We'll talk that out here in just a second. John Christensen, 44 Nation, another good day for Altena Auto Sports. All 4 cars in the top 6. But I think this is your driver of the race. Jesper Dahlgren up 18 spots to come home in 7th. And at one point was down a lap and under repair on pit road. And he comes home in 7th. The 2-time champion in the series and a 2-time champion here at the Brickyard is a top 10 finisher here today. Matthias Strauss, a great race for him in 8th. Mason Mitchum, a good race, but a quiet race for him for our winner in Kansas in 9th. And Pim Van Gastel, another top 10 for Pim. He comes home in 10th. Running out the remainder of this field as we got Vince. With a difficult race, but comes home in 11th. F. Tink, not the finish he was necessarily looking for, but he does come home with the top 15 and 12th. Fiolis in 13th, Seb Kender 14th. Dan Inch, our sponsor of today's race, in 15th. Gary Lovern 16th. Hugo Gala's very quiet race for Hugo in 17th. Chris Rides 18th. Charpentier 19th. And Vogelzang, unfortunately, had to have an early DNF. I believe he finished 9 laps down, so he did get back out on the racetrack, but had a meatball flag, but was among the leaders for much of this race for Milan, and he comes home in 20th. Moving on to the next page, we got Hatsuma Watson stock Cressy, Miriani, Zambati, Wags, Saucier, Henrique, Clegg. These are all drivers that had instances that brought out I believe we had 5 cautions. Had some actually finished the race, but starting from Watson on back, everyone kind of had some issues. That is your top 30. And the final page, Dufresne and Katie Pollock, again, with the early incident in turn 1 on lap 1, round out the remainder of this 32-car field. Justin, give me a bit of a breather here, man. Thoughts here before we get into the interview room and talk to these probably exhausted drivers. We've been doing this since 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Thought strategy in terms of fuel would be the bigger play here in the end, but it was just too much of a stretch for a lot of these teams to be able to extend those fuel margins to where they need to be to have a chance to actually be in front of those with the extra pit stop. But in the end, O'Sullivan dominated this race, had the pace, had the raw speed, and there's a reason. We're about to talk to him in a moment.
What we'll do is, since there's 3 of us in the booth, we'll give each one of us a chance to talk to one of these podium finishers, and we will lead it off with JJ with Clindy coming home in third, our defending series and race winner. Go ahead, JJ.
Glendy, this is Jack up in the box. How'd you copy? You got a good copy, bro?
Hey, Jack, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, all good. So, to start things off, I'm going to go back to the qualifying event. It wasn't until halfway through this race that I actually realized or heard that you might have qualified for this race on an Xbox controller. Is that right?
Yeah, on an Xbox controller on a laptop at 27 frames per second. So that's why I started in the back and dug myself such a big hole to get out of today.
Oh, right. Okay, that was when I heard that, I thought that you and Jesper would want to have a little bit of a challenge for yourselves and see if you could come back through the field and try and do it that way instead of actually qualifying towards the back of the field. But that's quite impressive, actually. I mean, how come the Xbox controller? Was it just something that came to mind, or?
No, I was visiting a friend and away from my rig. So since Julien did not allow guaranteed provisionals, I wanted to make sure that I'd be in the race. So I logged a lap and made an attempt. I think I made 3 attempts, actually. 1 was not clean, 2 were, and I think the third one, I just kind of scuffed the wall one time and it got disallowed. So just did my best and, had a good weekend with some good friends I hadn't seen in a while. So shout out to Brent and Hannah down in Virginia Beach. I had a great time with them hosting me and got to introduce my buddy to Star Wars because he'd never watched it before. So we did a little Star Wars marathon and I indoctrinated him, if so to speak.
Oh, fantastic. I love a good Star Wars movie myself. Anyway, moving on to the real topic at hand, the race. So we saw that you and a couple of other guys sort of went on to this alternate strategy, I sort of called it, that sort of saw you end up with pitting a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys, like the Altena boys around you, sort of meaning that you might have had to have potentially pit towards the sort of 10 to 5 to go range. And well, I saw that you obviously made it to the finish, no problem. But was that sort of the reason why you weren't able to properly mount an attack for the win today? Was fuel a concern right to the checkered flag?
No, we abandoned the save that Mason Mitchum and Gary Lovern were on about a third or maybe halfway through the first stint, when everyone else would have been really, really saving. We just knew that as soon as everyone in front of us peeled off to pit, we would no longer be able to make the number that we had calculated to make to the finish. And I knew how important fresh tires were, especially with clean track, because at the beginning of the race, when I pit on the first yellow, but not the second yellow, Julien and Liam just blew my doors off with fresh tires up at the front. And I was on 7 or 8 lap old tires and had only burned about 5 gallons out of the tank. And I could not even keep up, not map 1. I just was so far behind and so far off. So I was like, okay, well, I want to be on the best tires at the end. So that's why we came in on that caution with, I think it was 105 to go. Because if you go 35 every time, you make it. And 35 was just very difficult to do unless the field was packed up in front of you. And we realized very quickly that was not going to be a possibility. So we mapped down and lit the wick and charged to the front. Just picked them off one at a time.
Yeah, that answer just highlights how much you guys as drivers are doing out on the circuit. Not only just driving from up in the commentary booth and from people watching at home. I'm sure it might seem that these guys are constantly just turning left and having a good old jolly. But Kyle there clearly just outlining how important and how many things you're dealing with, not only to do with the car and those around you, but also with the strategy. But regardless of that, third today. Obviously, it didn't match the GIC Indy 500 where you managed to take the win last time out, but you can't be too happy with you can't be too disappointed. Sorry, with the third place nonetheless.
I actually am pretty disappointed with third place. The guys I'm fighting with the championship finished ahead of me, and I couldn't mount a charge against them with them cooperating for as long as they did. I think they saw every time they start to bicker over the lead, I got uncomfortably close, and so they kind of cut it out until one to go, and I just never had a chance to. Oh, quite frankly, I'm not good enough to at this track, especially to find and catch a way around two cars in front of me, and I just need to be better. So, that's something I can take away from this race, and it falls squarely on my shoulders to be a little faster, save a little better tire, or put myself on a better strategy to execute. I slid through my box one time in that sprint to the finish, and that cost me maybe a second and a half on the racetrack. And maybe if I never lost that second and a half, I'm never behind Julien, right? And then I get to be the one fighting Liam at the end instead of him. So one mistake out of 200 laps is one mistake too many.
Well, it's a sort of a damage limitation approach to this third result then. But I saw that definitely with just before the final stops, the 3 second gap. I thought that it might have been a little bit too much, but you managed to reel that back in and secure that third place anyway. Just before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to shout out? Teams, sponsors, family, friends?
Yeah, first and foremost, all my family out in Iowa. My cousin Christian got married yesterday, so I'm racing from my mom and dad's house. My mom's on the couch right next to me. She's my biggest fan. She never misses a race. So I love my mama so much, and I'm glad that me racing brings her joy. And I'm glad I got to introduce all of my extended family to iRacing, and hopefully some of them tuned in today.
Oh, fantastic.
Of course, thanks to all my partners and my sponsors. So P1 Broadcasting, the Votive Racing League. We will be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern from Michigan. That race should be a barn burner. It's going to be hot on the track and hot on our tires, so it'll be a mix between making really bold moves and having really old grooves on your tires, I hope. Shout out to my cousin Craig, who runs Segerman Farms here in Illinois, and to Advanced.gg, who sells hydration and energy supplements for water drinks. So you can go to their site and buy powders and shakers. And if you use promo code CLENDYSENDY with a capital K and a capital S, you'll get 10% off your order, and a little bit of that comes back to me. And if you would do so, I'd be very appreciative. So thanks, Jack. Thanks for having me. Gary, thanks for the call. Everybody else in the booth, it looks like Justin and Howie up here. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I did my best to make it interesting, but those Altena cars just were on the better strategy, and I just had to do what they didn't do because I knew I wouldn't be able to pass them both. I just got to get a little better. Thanks.
That was Kyle Clemworth, Gary, P3 today.
Yeah, he led 36 laps, just shy of 100 miles he led of this race, and improved 18 spots off that Xbox controller qualification effort to come home in third. Joining us now in the booth and with Justin Prince is the man that, again, kind of going down as the Tony Kanaan of the series, is another Indy 500 race so close. And yet, so far, another podium for Julien, two-time champion of the series, but still can't check that final box. Go right ahead, Justin.
Yes, indeed, Julien. First things first, talk us through your perspective on setting things up to have a shot for that front stretch run.
Yeah, I mean, I tried what I could with the strategy. Like, I hit the wall a few times earlier. I knew I was down a little bit on top speed. Nothing too severe, but it was noticeable. And I think you saw on the run to the line, like, typically, if you pull out the draft, you can probably win it. And I really didn't get that close. I mean, it looks close on the pictures, but it was so close yet so far away, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah. I mean, I'm not disappointed, to be honest. It's a great team result. Liam won the race. It would have been him or me winning the race. So I'm not disappointed at all. I mean, for sure, like maybe 1%, a little bit, but a great result for the team. And that's what matters. So yeah, one of us won. So that's what counts.
Team 1-2, in fact, yes, absolutely. So obviously, this race took a lot of twists and turns with going. What was the most difficult thing about trying to get yourself into the right strategy, especially knowing how the caution roulette felt early on, and two, what we've seen for a long run to basically end it for 104 laps?
Yeah, I mean, keeping the tires in the right window was hard, but yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to really come with. It's just typical indie stuff. Like it's hard to follow, it's hard to pass, and yeah, I mean, I don't think anything really made a difference over fuel saving or that kind of stuff. So just typical indie. Got nothing else, nothing useful to really say to that, to be honest. I'm sorry.
But at this point here, obviously you and Liam, championship contenders for the overall season itself now. Coming up towards the final stretches of races here with Richmond, Sebring's doubleheader, Las Vegas. Talk to us about how you will try and get those points now built up with Liam, against Liam, to have a chance for the championship as a whole with 4 races to go.
Yeah, that's going to be difficult for sure with the 50-point gap now that it is with the semi-double points. It's based off double
Yes.
points for the 500. So, yeah, 50 points in, 4 races is going to be tough to overcome. It's not impossible. I mean, Gary, I think, called me the Tony Kanaan of the series. So I guess I'll take that as a compliment. But
He's a good
I
guy.
mean, I wish I looked as good as him. He definitely goes to the gym a lot more. I think he does. I think he goes to the gym about 50 times what I do in life. So yeah, but now overcoming that is going to be tough. Like Richmond, I don't think I've raced at Richmond in 4 or 5 years. Like I've done a couple of laps there in testing, but nothing that's actually useful for the championship fight. Like I think in fact, I think Liam and I both are going to be on a clean sheet of paper there. So we'll see. We got 3 weeks to test and practice and get the lines and everything right. So I guess for us, it's going to be a bit of a lottery who wins. As for Sebring, we'll be strong. I know on the road courses. I mean, I got a win at the second Road America Sprint race. So I think we'll be in contention there for a good result. And then the last two, the last one at Vegas, I think is going to be wide open. I'm not sure if Liam is going to be there or not. So we'll see what plays out there. I really hope he will be there in case it comes down to a final race shootout. But yeah, we'll see. It's going to be tough, but not impossible.
Any show would you like to give here today?
Yeah, of course. You guys for broadcasting. Everyone who came out to the race today. It's I'm gonna come out there and say it. It's a bit disappointing not to see 33 cars take the green. We came close. 10 rows of 3 is close enough. But yeah, nonetheless, I want to thank everyone who came out. It was a really good race, other than the early yellows. Like I told everyone to keep it clean, keep it patient and everything. And of course, nobody ever listens to that. So just typical league racing stuff. I want to really thank Dan Enge for sponsoring the league. I know Dan is behind a great cause, the Alzheimer's Association, and he supports them and he supports us as well. Please go check it out, alz.org, for more information about Alzheimer's disease and how you can donate if you are able to, at least. There's plenty of other Alzheimer's charities out there in the world. I know in Canada they've got something different, and in Europe they've got plenty of other different stuff, but it's all got the same goal. So if alz.org doesn't allow you to donate, maybe go somewhere else in your local area to donate to alz.org in a similar fashion. It's all going to Alzheimer's disease research. So yeah, I want to thank Dan for sticking by the league and yeah, promoting such a great cause as well. Yeah, the team did a fantastic job today. As I touched upon, Liam and I got a 1-2. Aman finished P4. John finished P6. Rodin finished P12. He should have been higher up, but due to strategy and I think a couple of wall taps or something, he didn't really get up there. But still a fantastic result for the team. Of course, highlighted by the 1-2, but yeah, just all in all, a great day. My girlfriend downstairs as well cooked me dinner before the race. I wasn't able to eat it until one of the yellow
You were eating
laps,
it when
and
you
I hit
smacked the
wall. One
wall.
of literally eating the wall, eating dinner. Yeah, it was suboptimal. Maybe a little bit unprofessional, but I hadn't eaten since my morning
What were
break.
you eating? What were you eating? Was it? I mean, was it good? Was it worth hitting the wall over?
I mean, it's my girlfriend's cooked risotto, so it's always worth it. But
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, it's amazing. It's one of my favorites, in fact. But yeah, I mean, it was cold by then, so that's the only shame. But yeah.
Well, on that note, Julien, congratulations on the podium. Enjoy some food.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'll see you guys next time.
Julien Altena, looking to see how things play out for the rest of the championship, Gary. But as he said, big points win for your leader. Now growing the gap to 50 with the win. You're speaking with him next.
Yeah, we'll bring him in just a second. 287 is Liam O'Sullivan's points total, and now 50 points over Julien, who with 237. Clindy with 204, and Amont Law in fourth spot with 195. Hunter Ingrave is in fifth by himself at 181. So it is about a one race lead that Liam has over Julien going into the final stretch of the season. I do want to bring Dan Inch into the booth real quick. He is the sponsor of today's race. We do want to allow him to give ALZ.org a shout out. Dan Inch joining us. Dan, you had yourself a decent finish today, but talk about ALZ and the Alzheimer's Association. And again, thank you for sponsoring today's event, 15th running of the Velocity Online Racing Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Oh, always my pleasure to do that. Of course, you know, I have a lot at stake as far as ALZ.org is concerned. I just wish this race had been another 500 miles because I think I had them. If I had another 500 miles, I think I could have come back and won that race, but such is not the case. No, what aggravates me sometimes, and I understand this rule, it is a good rule, we need the rule, but the rule where you can't pass or you have to let the leaders by with 10 to go always seems to bite me. It did today. I should have been one spot up, but I came out of the last pit stop, so did Seb Kinder, and I had 2 seconds on him, but the leaders were coming through. And when you're the guy behind, when the leaders come through, you can get right on their tail and use that draft and whoop, there you go. So Seb nipped me there in the end, or I had one more spot, but that's the way it goes. And I do agree with the rule and having the rule. It's just one of those things that just kind of make you go, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I had a good time out there today. I thought everybody did a good job of trying to keep it clean and being courteous when it really, really mattered. There was a couple of near 3 wides I got into that everybody did the right thing and we got out of it clean as a whistle, and I appreciate that kind of driving. But yeah, getting back to the matter at hand, ALZ.org. And I love what Julien said, and I have never mentioned this, but he did, and I thank him for it. ALZ.org is not the only organization when it comes to helping Alzheimer's-stricken patients. There are many of them around the world. ALZ.org just happens to be the #1 here in the United States and in other parts of the world. But it doesn't matter who you go to get help. Just get help. You cannot take care of an ALS patient by yourself. That's the most important thing I want to stress. You just can't do it. You got to take care of yourself first. And if you don't have any help, get a hold of ALZ.org. Get a hold of all these other organizations that can help you out. They can tell you how to get some support groups going. They can tell you how to get the right help with Social Security if you're in the States, or whatever you need to get somebody into a good facility that's going to take better care of them than you ever could. And that is so, so important. But thank you, Julien, for mentioning that this is a worldwide effort to stop ALS from doing what it does to all of our loved ones. So thank you for that. And thanks for having the race for us, guys. I can't wait to listen to the broadcast. You guys are always so much fun to listen to. So now I get to go do that.
Well, congratulations on the top 15. And again, as someone that also has an elderly parent that is going through moments of, rough health, I appreciate what you're doing and where you're coming from. So again, thank you for bringing this to us, and congratulations on the top 15 finish. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks when we head to Richmond.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I used to be really good at Richmond, but that was with the DW12s. I don't think I've ever raced there with the 18. So it's going to be fun trying to relearn everything.
Dan Inch finishes 15th here today with the ALZ.org sponsorship. Here is now 2-time champion of the Indy 500, joining Jesper Dahlgren and Alex Van de Sant as multiple-time winners of this race. Second closest finish in race history here in the Velocity Online Racing Series. 32 thousandths of a second. Congratulations Congratulations, Liam. The current trend, really, in current IndyCar racing, that the pole sitter doesn't always guarantee a win here. Last pole sitter win was 2019 with Simon Pagenaud. It's hard to believe it's been that long ago that a real Indy 500 pole sitter has won the Indy 500. But you won it from the pole in kind of dominant fashion. You were up front for much of the day. Talk about that final stanza there at the end, getting the pit stop, getting on the pit road without the final penalty that happened, that came down to what happened to Scott Dixon in the past, and just really flawless there at the end, and then holding off Julien in a thrilling late race duel.
Yeah, I mean, thanks. That had to work for that one compared to especially the first one. Time I ran around here, it was a bit more safe where I wasn't even getting a fight. But I just felt if I had a full hybrid off of turn 4, I think there was nothing Julien could really do. I was getting Sam Hornish, Marco Andretti vibes with the run he got through turn 3 there. I just misjudged what line he'd take, and I kind of expected him to run high, so I took the high line because then it really would have backed him off. So I had to sort of chop him in the middle of 4, take the low line, and then just hold a straight wheel coming off of the corner and let him work around me. Deployed the whole hybrid off of it, and I think Julien said it best. I think he just couldn't quite get the momentum there. But yeah, it was difficult. I mean, I felt the race had another caution in it still from about 120 when that's what won it. Me and Julien did the opposite of Carl, Jesper, Mason, Mitchell, all them guys. They couldn't make the fuel save work. I thought they could get 35 laps, which is what they needed each time, the first stint. But when it starts to spread out, they'd have half a stint by themselves out there. I could not see how 35 laps was going to be possible, and they had to do that 3 times. So I did what I'm good at, which is going full push, and towed Julien along with me. The communication of them last 80 laps, even Oman as well, between the 3 of us was brilliant. We worked really cohesively as a team there, and we got the rewards from it. I mean, good equal fight there with Julien at the end. I know he said he was slightly damaged, which is sort of what we felt when he tried to lead, because I had to save a lap or two's worth of fuel, so I was comfortable there at the end. Compared to him, he could run another 8 laps. But no, really happy with that. That strategy call is what put us in that position. Otherwise, I think Jesper and Carl would have been with us that whole time. They just tried the fuel save. We would have seen a completely different race of everyone trying to make 35 laps and a massive fuel save race going on if we pitted as well. But no, we got it bang on today, followed the numbers as we should, and that's what gave it to us.
Now we move on, looking to the rest of the season. But before we get into that, I do want to talk about one point that kind of all had us all on our seats. You guys, Julien, and also I think later that you were joined by Clindy in the battle, all got up in the lap traffic all at the same time, and you guys had to run a gauntlet of like 8 cars. And there was a moment right in front of you. I think we saw tire smoke and the whole 9 yards. Talk about that whole complex of laps and that whole stanza. What's going through your mind? I know you want to get around them as much as possible, but they were all racing for position. So how do you get around those guys as quickly as possible, all the while they're still racing for possible top 10s as well?
I think I went 50% throttle. I barely lifted. I had to take the risk. If you actually look at the numbers, I was doing it through the thing. Carl was 7.5 seconds behind us when he shifted to our strategy. That went to 6.8 just with his tyre advantage after a full stint. That third and final one, he was with us, so it cost us 2-3 seconds, and then the cars in between drag him to us. He would have been out of the race if that didn't happen. He was way too far back, but that's what cost us. Put the cars between us. He can just draft and zigzag between them all, and then he slipstreams up to us. So we had to be mindful of him. Otherwise, I think we would have gone racing a bit sooner than that. We had to play the team game, obviously. But no, it was a scary moment. I think Chris got loose in the middle. He did well to save it. Thankfully saved it. Otherwise, it would have turned the race on its head again. But no, I felt in control the whole race, but just that nervousness the whole time. I was shaking all throughout lap 199, 200. Just keep doing what you're doing. He can't get anywhere near the back of me. Carl's not stressing Julien out, so really good. Yeah, I mean, I'll have to look at that one on how close he was on the replay, because I think I went middle 3 wide or something, just had to react as quick as I could, and I got out in the marbles and really had to modulate the throttle there. But no, luckily it's one of them moments where you just kind of hope and then it goes your way.
Now we look to the rest of the season. Indianapolis is done. We don't really talk much about points at Indianapolis. It's all about the dub here. But coming out with the dub, coming in as the points leader with a big points lead, and now leaving with the dub and an even bigger points lead coming out. We got a little bit of a break, 2 weeks. Then we go to Richmond. And then a little bit of a break after that. And then we wrap up on successive weekends with a doubleheader at Sebring and Las Vegas, having pretty much a 1 race buffer with 4 points pains rounds to go. It's got to feel a little bit better as we look at that schedule, that if something big happens, and it's probably going to happen at like a pack racy track like Las Vegas, that you still have now this nice lead buffer that if something does happen, it's possibly not costing you the championship. So it's kind of, at this point, yours to lose.
Yeah, I mean, you've nailed it. I mean, I lost a championship at Vegas to Jesper with a 14-point lead, season 12. Yeah, that was out of my hands because, I mean, a thunderstorm went and knocked me out of Belle Isle. But I've lost a championship there. I'd ideally not want it to go there, and I don't even know if I can be there for the final round still yet. It's still a bit 50-50. So I got the buffer. I want to maintain it. We're good on drop rounds. Get through Richmond and hopefully have one good race at Sebring, whether that be a first or a second, and then that'll also give me a little bit more buffer because I think I'm slightly better on drop rounds than Julien. So when that comes in, that'll be a bigger factor. I'll have to do the maths on that as always, but yeah, super happy as you said. I mean, to have a 50-point, I expect just to get through Indy and even stay in championship contention. Like, this is the dream scenario. It's difficult. Unfortunately, there wasn't a few more cars between Julien and Carl in a way, just to give me even more of a buffer. But no, I mean, like you said, championship second, but also it's hard to shift off your mind. And especially throughout that race, you're thinking, oh, top three's very good here. So no, very happy.
The 8, 9. Okay, so you are now 9th all time, and Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship history. Now with your 4th win, 2nd win here at the Brickyard. Now we have the big points lead. On top of that, we'll throw some history at you for the team-wise. Team finishing 1-2 at the 500 actually has been more common recently than it was prior to 97. This century alone, it's happened 5 times. Penske has done it 3 times. Andretti Autosport was the last team to do it in 2016. 2015 was Penske. Again, Target Chip Ganassi did it in 2012. Penske won in 1-2 in 2003 and 2001. And then, of course, Treadway did it in 97 in first and second with Arie Luyendyk and Scott Kitcher. Prior to that, the only other time was Roger Ward and Lynn Sutton back in 1962. So it doesn't happen very often, but it has happened a lot this century. Your last win here actually did come at the expense of Julien as well. You beat Julien by and you said it. You seemed like it was a bit bigger of a win, and it was. It was a 9/10 of a second you beat him for the margin of victory versus the 32 thousandths. So it does seem like a mile when you do compare. But you have now beat the boss man twice here at the Brickyard, extending his drought now to 16 races after today. So with all that said, and with the points lead going into the final race, I know you have some people that you want to shout out, friends, family, sponsors, and also do not forget, you need to take a video of yourself drinking milk and put it on the Discord so everyone can see you celebrating your big win here for the 2nd time. So go right ahead. Your shout outs for winning the Brickyard here today in Indianapolis.
Yeah, firstly, there's a bit of a milk shortage here at the University of, well, Hertfordshire, because I haven't gone shopping. I was going to go shopping yesterday, so I don't know if I have any milk. If so, I'm going to have to do that tomorrow. I'd rather do it with milk and not use a substitute, because Emerson Fittipaldi did that and everyone hated him. So, yeah.
It was bad luck. I'll tell you about it,
yeah. So I won't be subbing out for orange juice or any other beer of choice. So firstly, again, team, I think that's one of the best we've worked cohesively as a unit. Strategy was bang on today. I mean, that's what did it. Simple as it gave us, we could run flat out the whole time. They tried the fuel save, didn't work, and it was 7.5 seconds. They ended up behind us, and that mistake, I think, cost them. It stopped them from trying to jump us in a pit stop or short fueling it. So yeah, I mean, team, Alzheimer's Association, Dan Ench, I mean, always supporting. He's supported the last 500s for a few bit. Thanks for everything he does. Big charity as well. Support them. Mum, dad, grandparents. I mean, it's another 500, another big one, another one to add to the list. I mean, it's been a great week so far. And yeah, keep pushing. I'm hoping I haven't forgot anyone else because I'm still a bit like I've won the 500 again. But yeah, hopefully, the final thing is hopefully Tottenham can replicate that against Arsenal on Sunday.
Okay, football the other type. All right, congratulations on the win, Liam. We'll see you in a couple weeks when we resume the season for the stretch run at Richmond.
Yep, thanks guys as always.
Gentlemen, this is my chance to pass the baton over to you guys because I will not be here for Richmond. You guys will handle the duties at Richmond. But final thoughts, Justin, here on Indy before going to Richmond. Then we'll pass it to JJ for his final thoughts and going to Richmond. But starting with you, Justin, almost sounded like from Clindy. He kind of almost had that Ayrton Senna, like, well, I finished third. I could have done better. And it really sounds like for Clindy, it boiled down to one little mistake. And it's like we talked about at one point in the race. That one little mistake cost Scott Dixon an Indy 500 in real life. And it might have cost Clindy the 500 today.
Yeah, and it really comes down to, in many cases, just one major decision or one timing of a decision can absolutely change the course of your rest of the race. And now at this point of the season, the championship's going to be a major focal point the rest of the way with the stretch of races. Richmond's going to be a challenge for, I think, for a lot of teams and drivers in particular coming up on this schedule for drivers to focus ahead, because that's going to be another place where passing can be pretty difficult. It should be a wild time to close out the season after a exciting race here for the 500.
JJ, it seems like when you're in the booth with us, we always seem to have a banger. It's only when JJ's here, it's a guaranteed banger. Only bangers with JJ, and another one here today. And we're going to go on. This championship's still exciting, but much like we were talking about the GIC when we at one point said Liam has like one hand on that one handle of the championship. He doesn't quite have that second hand ready to go. It almost feels like that one hand has a grip on the VOR Cup for this season with a 50-point lead, going certainly with 2 road course races in there. That's definitely his strength. And, who knows what happens at Vegas. Like I said, this seems like Liam's to lose, but it seems like he has a grip, at least on one of the handles.
You ever heard of the commentator's curse, Gary?
Yes, absolutely. I do it all the time.
Yeah, I think...
I did it to Joseph Newgarden one time, so...
Oh, no. But no, I totally agree with you. He's had a really strong run of form throughout the course of this week. I mentioned a couple of times during the race that the GIC championship went his way and he would be able to carry that momentum into today. And it looks like he has done, because he's managed to wrap up this race with what looks to be a very, very strong performance. Like Justin said, there was no one that could really match the long run pace of that number 12 today. And like Clendy said, he just said that he ultimately he couldn't pass them. He couldn't pass the Altena cars today, which is something that is very surprising. I always thought that, Kyle Clemworth, of all people, would be someone to say, look, I reckon I could have done it if I had a couple more laps here, a couple more laps there. But he straight up admitted today that, they were faster, which is why he tried that other strategy. And ultimately, when you try something different, it doesn't always work. So unfortunately for Clemworth, he comes away with a third today. But in all honesty, a third is a lot better than a DNF. or a 7th place, which is what a couple of others of his teammates experienced today, unfortunately for them. But moving forward into Richmond, I can't say I've been in the commentary booth up at Richmond before, so that would be an exciting one for me. And looking forward to the road courses, that's definitely going to throw up a treat. It always does. You always get some different people at the front. You always get some unexpected winners, some unexpected performers, just like we did at Interlagos. So the next few races should definitely be some bangers on cue to finish out the season here.
Before we wrap up, wanted to mention again later this season here in just a couple of weeks, just pay attention to the Velocity Online Racing channel. Velocity Online Racing will be covering top split of the Indy Next series, the official iRacing series, and their Saturday time, I think it's going to be their Saturday 2 p.m., 1 p.m. time slot when time changes. So be looking forward to that on the channel. When those races are posted, you can be able to set a reminder. And the best way to always make sure you know about those races is to just go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But that will be an official series, and they will cover that all season long, Saturdays, when the Indy Next series in real life races, they will race here as well. That's kind of how that works. And it's kind of a companion series to what I do with the IIS, which is the IndyCar iRacing series. And that typically we have those Saturdays before IndyCar race weekends on Sundays. So that's going to do it here for today. We'll wrap it up, give everyone back a very long Saturday. Is a 500-mile race. We don't have any more 500-milers that we have to worry about this season. So we'll worry about the next 500-miler next season. But long afternoon for all of us. And I know, Justin, this is the meet in your triple header. So you have one more to do tonight. And also Howie does too. So we're going to let you guys get on out of here as well to get a little bit of rest before you head off to your next race. So that's it for today. Once again, your podium here for the 15th running of the Indianapolis 500-mile race presented by the Alzheimer's Association from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is Liam O'Sullivan. His second career win here at the Brickyard over team boss Julien Altena by 32 thousandths of a second. Clindy, our defending series champion and race champion, comes home in third. Join us again in 3 weeks as season 15 continues, as the teams and drivers come down off the high of Indy and look toward the stretch run of another challenging campaign. Next up is Richmond, our shortest oval on the schedule for the second ever running of the VOR Richmond 300. Coverage will start approximately 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's 2:00 p.m. Eastern Time. I will not be here. It'll be Justin and JJ. I look forward to their coverage. You guys are in excellent hands, and it should be a great race again. For the correct time in your area, you can find everything right here at YouTube. Just search youtube.com on Velocity Online Racing. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one, so please help support us with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know you thought of today's race and you enjoyed today's coverage. Support us by smashing like in the video. If you do, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders and miss out on more Velocity Online Racing's other iRacing coverage, including round 9 of season 29 of the long-running International IndyCar League actually it's going to be at, not Twin Wing Motegi, it's going to be at Monza. Which has been before in the series. Coverage starts at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's tomorrow, this Sunday. So if you like IndyCar racing, and we know you do, if you join us today, then check out the International IndyCar League when it returns to the VOR channel tomorrow morning. Today's 15th running of the Velocity Online Racing Indianapolis 500-mile race is presented to you by the Alzheimer's Association and ALZ.org. The Alzheimer's Association leads the way to end Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia by accelerating global research, driving risk reduction and early detection, and maximizing quality care and support. But they can't end Alzheimer's without your help. To learn more, to donate, go to ALZ.org. The link you need is in the description. To learn more about Velocity Online Racing and what we do, visit velocityonlineracing.com. Like them on Facebook. You can follow them on X and Instagram. So, for the czar of the iRacing booth, the great Justin Prince, the suave-sounding Jack James, and the general Howie Burrows on the board, and everyone here at Velocity Online Racing, I'm Gary Gosso saying to all. I also want to thank ALZ one more time, and from them as well. Happy Saturday. Thanks for watching, and all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders. Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again here in a couple weeks when we go to Richmond for the next race up, the Velocity Online Racing IndyCar Championship. We'll see ya.